Hello everybody. Hello. We've had a lot of freedom of speech questions, so I thought, you know what? Let's look at the speech. Let's talk about freedom of speech. Let's do that. Oh, hello from Miami. Oh, hi, welcome everybody, welcome. Glad to see you. Yes, Dean Coots. Yes, we should do that. Oh, from Sydney. Okay, nice. Welcome from Tennessee. Love that. Love that. So let me ask everybody, am I in frame here? Just trying to make sure I've got my language in frame. Happy Saturday to you too. Welcome. It's good to see everybody. Oh, from New Jersey. Okay, I'm in frame. Okay, great. No, this is not my speech. This is the speech that was given by Mr. Trump on January 6th. Yes, good. Glad to hear it. I found a transcript of his speech. I didn't want to play it because I didn't want to have any issues. But we've been talking about First Amendment, freedom of speech. And so I thought, well, you know what? Let's just go through the language and see if there's any suspect language in his speech. Yes, hello, welcome. So I thought, let's just look to the language. Yes, well, Eli, I've listened to the speech and I've compared it with the language, and I think this transcript is actually incredibly accurate. So we don't have anything edited here. This is literally transcribed. I think it's probably from their closed captioning. It's just that accurate. So, yes, hello. Yes, welcome. Glad to see everyone coming in. Now, I have had I've noticed my lives are getting a little bit extra salty lately, so I am going to go ahead and make sure that the moderators know to go ahead and start blocking people rather than just muting. Yes, I just started. So not much salt tonight. Just trying to get information out, so not really needing to kid glove the trolls at all. We're just it's just all out information for people who are interested in it. Just to make sure for anyone who is interested in listening and kind of talking about it and so on, but we're not going to be playing around too much with the trolls tonight. We've got too much to do. Yes, I agree. And our chats are pretty good. Oh, yeah, I think so. But, it can get really exhausting actually for the moderators to kind of have to go through all of those things. So I'm just kind of keeping an extra close eye on everything tonight, just to kind of clear things out just a little bit so people can have some good constructive questions and we can kind of go through a good dialogue. So, if anyone is noticing trolls as we go through this, along with my moderators, please let me know so I can also give a signal. I've got someone with me here to kind of help with that as well. But tonight we're really going to go through this question of freedom of speech. And, well, hello, Cozy and Cray. We're going to be taking care of the trolls tonight, so feel free to block. I recommend muting first, but if they come back again, go ahead and feel free to block. Yeah, if you want to tag them, that would be helpful. I'm going to kind of take things a bit slow because this speech is actually really not that long. Really, it's very repetitive. So we're just going to kind of clear out the trolls quick and easy as we get started here. We just don't want, my moderators just have to be exhausted at this point. I really enjoy and love going online and chatting with everyone, going through these topics, but we're just at a point now where we've got just too many trolls coming by and just really rude. So I want to kind of take care of that. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Yes. Um, right. So tonight, there's just a zero tolerance tonight, everybody. And pretty much, I've just, at this point, I've had so many problems. No, not anyone who disagrees with me, Ryan, and here's your warning, but people who are interrupting the discussion, okay? So let's just keep it nice and civil. We're just learning tonight. I'm just taking a few minutes here to kind of give everyone a little bit of time to come on in and talk about things. Okay, yeah, I'm just, I love to debate and I love to argue, but just not tonight. CNN, yes, CNN is a transcript that they did from their closed captioning, I'm sure. So we're not teaching, this is just a transcript. So you can find this transcript lots of other different sources, but when I read through this one, I found it to be the most accurate. So yes, and we'll try to be careful, but I tell you, when we're getting hit with hundreds and hundreds of just horrendous comments, it just goes so fast and it can be overwhelming. So, just trying to kind of open the floor so we can talk about the First Amendment tonight. CNN just happened to be the one that I found to be the most accurate when I listened to the speech. There were multiple stations that went through and wrote it out. We don't have a court reporter. We didn't have anything like that. So we just had different news stations that wrote transcripts out. And this one was the most accurate. I didn't want to pull the January 6th one just because there was a lot of extra information. Yeah, it was the most accurate when it came word to word. And you know what, Guy, you can go ahead and check online if you want and listen to the speech. So if there's any problem with the language in the speech, you can just let me know. But yeah, I mean, let's not focus on. Here we go. How's that? Does that make you feel better? We're talking about the First Amendment. I found a transcript of the speech. That's where we're at. That's what we're doing tonight. So far, so good. I'm struggling a bit, actually. I'm really getting bombarded with a lot of really, really negative situations. So I'm struggling a little bit. I'm trying to kind of move back to the middle, but my tolerance is a little bit lower than normal at this moment. So I'm just trying to give information, and I will keep doing that. But B. Flintstone, would you like to be a moderator? I've noticed you've done an excellent job in here before. Is that something you would be okay with? That would be great. If I've got anyone in here who would be willing to help my moderators out, I would be so thankful. They are just absolutely exhausted. I would be really, really appreciative of that. So just let me know. I'm going to, again, just take a few minutes. Okay. Yeah. And if it's just for tonight and just for a little while, that's fine. Whatever works for you. Again, I'm just at this point, I'm going to just have any new moderators just able to mute. Any of my moderators that have been here for a while, you can go ahead and block if you think it's the best. But okay, yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, and just anyone for tonight. I will be reading through this language here, and so I just want to make sure that I've got my moderators kind of watched out for tonight. They've just been working so hard with everything. So I really appreciate anyone who can kind of help out tonight. I really want to talk about this idea. Yeah, I've noticed it's hard actually for me to turn the comments off and then put them back on again. That's been difficult for me as far as my technical things that are set up here. So I wish I could figure out a way to do that, but I'm just not quite advanced yet enough to do that. But I will at some point. Sure. And I think if we have enough people just kind of keeping an eye out, I think that can really be helpful for me. I have someone with me just sitting next to me tonight to kind of help with that, because I just feel like my moderators have just been, they've just been struggling. I mean, they're doing such a fantastic job, but it's exhausting. So, yeah. Oh, very true. It is. So yes, of course. I think we're good to go. I think we're set. I think we are set, good to go. Again, tonight, let's just go ahead and mute everybody. To start with, we'll give everyone a chance to come back, but if they come back in, we can block them. So, and that's just kind of how, yeah, I mean, I'm just reading through information. It's kind of hard for me to keep an eye out, and I just know these comments are just getting pretty harsh for some people. So we want to keep it a nice, positive environment. So that would be fantastic. And again, anyone who has signed up to kind of help out tonight, you can feel free to come and go as you please. That's no problem. So yeah, okay. So, and again, I get it. It's CNN. I get it, people, but this is a transcript. All right. So, transcript. Is there another news station that has a transcript anyone would prefer I use? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm just, come on now. Again, already, I haven't even started yet, and we're getting, yeah. You cannot block if you mute. I can mute first, and then people can come back in and have a chance again. But if they come back in, then we will go ahead and block. I hate to do that, but it's getting to be a little too much. I really want to have everyone a chance to actually hear what I have to say. So forgive me. It'll just take a few minutes here to get everything sorted. I just really want to have everyone have a chance here. It's getting to be just a little bit too much. All right, so do we have our moderators in place? Yep, we're going to get going here in just a moment. Just making sure everyone's ready. Everyone's good. Okay. Oh, fabulous. Love that. Okay, thank you so much. Yes, and I do try to read, but I also acknowledge the toll it takes when I'm going live almost every day, and I've got hundreds and hundreds of trolls coming after my moderators. So all right, excellent. Let's get started. Here we go. So, thank you so much, everyone, for coming. Sorry about that. Getting everything set up, cracking my knuckles, getting on to it. There's been this huge question, right, about freedom of speech issues when it comes to the speech that Mr. Trump gave on January 6th. Now, he was on the ellipse and he gave a big, huge speech. I wanted to play it, but I looked through the community guidelines and I just want to be extra careful. So I'm going to go through his transcript and kind of stop and pause. So if you're hearing something that sounds like a request for an illegal act or an incitement into illegal acts or bad acts, just let me know and I'll go ahead and start highlighting. Now, it's not going to be every sentence, but I want us to just kind of take a look at the actual language that's being used here and try to figure out, is this what he's saying? Is what he's saying political language? Is it freedom of speech? Or are we asking for illegal acts to be commencing? So let's start going through this. Yes. Yes. All right, so let's get started. Here we go. The media will not show the magnitude of this crowd. Now, again, false statements are allowed through freedom of speech, but what we can't have are requests for illegal actions or an incitement. All right, even when I turned on today, I looked and I saw thousands of people here, but you don't see hundreds of thousands of people behind you because they don't want to show that. We have hundreds of thousands of people here, and I just want them to be recognized by the fake news media. So let's kind of pull out some buzz terms too. There's going to be a lot of repetitive buzzwords that are triggering phrases. Turn on your cameras, please, and show what's really happening out here because these people are not going to take it any longer. So let's ask that. Let's just look at this language. They're not going to take it any longer. Does that sound inciting to you? Does that sound like he's saying, we need to act? Do we need to go forward and act on something? Because to me, that sounds like it. Now, in and of itself alone, maybe not. But if we are looking at this again within the context, That might be some language to incite action. They're not going to take it any longer. Go ahead, turn your cameras around, please. Would you show? Again, we have this kind of language saying, you know, we're done, so something needs to happen. We're looking for that kind of inciting language as we go through this. Here we go. They came from all over the world. Again, false information's fine as speech, actually, but they came from all over our country. I just really want to see what they do. All right, so that's a good question. I just really want to see what they do. Does that sound like he's kind of agitating a little bit or asking for behavior? Okay. Okay. Vague, potential. Excellent. I agree. Okay. Sounds like a dare. Yeah. Code for something. Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah. Okay. So I think this one is debatable, but I think we've got some questions. I think that's a valid question. Keep in mind that not this exact transcript, but a transcript of this speech was submitted in with the evidence during the impeachment situations, just FYI. So I just want to see how they covered. I've never seen anything like it, but it would be really great if we could be covered fairly by the media. The media is the biggest problem we have as far as I'm concerned. Single biggest problem, the fake news. Now again, we've got these triggering words, the fake news and the big tech. Big tech is now coming into their own. We beat them 4 years ago. We surprised them. We took them by surprise, and this year they rigged an election. All right, so that's some pretty significant language here. They rigged an election. I think, again, those kinds of phrases are pretty inciting when we're talking about frustration. They rigged it like they've never rigged an election before. Again, this can be that inciting language, but again, false statements are okay to make. So let's put a little star by this saying, you know, they're false statements, but perhaps. And by the way, last night they didn't do a bad job either. If you notice, I'm honest. Just again, I want to thank you. It's just a great honor to have this kind of crowd and to be before you and hundreds of thousands of American patriots who are committed to the honesty of our elections. Now, I think it's important to kind of highlight these words too. American patriots, that's again that language that's really kind of putting everyone together. And honesty of our elections, implying the dishonesty that has been going on. So I think these are elements, not necessarily big pieces. Inflammatory, yes, I think that's an excellent way of putting it. And the integrity of our glorious republic. Again, this is more of that language. I will just add as a quick side note that rhetoric was part of my college degree, so that's why it's interesting for me to pull out this language. All of us here today do not want to see our election victory stolen. Now that again, that can be the inference here that we need to do something because something was taken from us, something was stolen. By emboldened radical left Democrats. And again, these are just kind of key phrases that we're using, which is what they're doing. And stolen by the fake news media. Again, this idea that something was stolen implies this need to act. That's what they've done and what they're doing. We will never give up. We will never concede. Again, this is that language, kind of rallying cry. It doesn't happen. You don't conceive when there's theft involved. And that's another thing. So what's he saying? If we are saying that the election was stolen and they're about to certify that election, what are we supposed to do then? Yes, some statements are libelous, but only if they are directed towards a specific person. I think that's really the key. So if it's in general, those kinds of things, unfortunately, can't really be pulled in. But yes, I think this is a sentence that's important. You don't concede when there's theft involved. Our country has had enough. Again, that's pretty, the implication there is saying it's time for some kind of action. We will not take it anymore. And that's what this is about. So he's even setting out the purpose of, that moment in time. The purpose is that we will not take it anymore. So again, what does that mean? We won't take it anymore. What kind of actions is he calling on people to do? He really does. And to use a favorite term that all of you people really came up with, we will, quote, stop the steal. That's a huge one. So we're here to stop the steal. Today, I will lay out just some of the evidence proving that we won this election. Again, this claim that we won the election, he can make that, and he can even say he's got some evidence. So those words in and of themselves aren't necessarily the issue, but when we put it all together, let's see. We won by a landslide. Again, false statement, which is fine. This was not a close election. Again, more false statements, which is also fine. I say sometimes jokingly, but there's no joke about it. So that goes to his intent. So if he's saying, I was just kidding, I didn't know, he's saying the words himself. He's not joking about it. I've been in 2 elections. I've won them both. And the second one, I won much bigger than the first. Okay. Again, false statements are okay. Almost 75 million people voted for our campaign, the most of any incumbent president by far in the history of our country. 12 million more people than 4 years ago. And I was told by the real pollsters, now this is a trigger phrase here because the implication is that the pollsters that were there were fake. So that language, because we're not specifying a particular person, but that language is pretty triggering, right? We do have real pollsters. They know that we were going to do well and we were going to win. What I was told, if I went from 63 million, which we had 4 years ago, to 66 million, there was no chance of losing. Again, this can be his understanding, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Well, we didn't go to 66. We went to 75 million, and they say we lost. We didn't lose. Again, that's false, but that's kind of an affirmative statement again. And again, he's saying there's no joke about it. We didn't lose. And by the way, does anybody believe that Joe had 80 million votes? Does anybody believe that? He had 80 million computer votes. Again, challenging how the voting process worked. It's a disgrace. There's never been anything like that. You could take third world countries. Just take a look. Take third world countries. Their elections are more honest than what we've been going through in this country. Let's take a moment for that phrase. That's his political speech. His opinion is third world countries are more honest than ours. Okay. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. So it looks like we've got some big buzzwords again. We've got this continuing phrase here. It's a disgrace. Even when you look at last night, they're all running around like chickens with their heads cut off with boxes. Nobody knows what the hell is going on. That's pretty triggering language about an election that we just voted for. So let's just kind of pull that aside too. There's never been anything like this. We will not let them silence your voices. Now this sentence again, we've got freedom of speech, but what does that mean? We will not let them silence your voices. Is he saying then that the government proceeding is an attempt to silence the people's voices who are there during the rally? That's a good question. Does intent have to be proven? Intent is tricky here because of how it's been charged in D.C. We've got interference or obstruction of a government proceeding, and that intent level for that just simply means needing to stop the proceeding. So that intent is pretty low. But then we've got, let me just grab the indictment so I can give you the exact code section. Here we go. Whew. So this one, this particular section, conspiracy to obstruct, just means that you knew it was a government proceeding and you did things intentionally in order to obstruct it. We've got this attempt element, which is the same as this one. And then the conspiracy against rights. So we would have to prove that they knew and that 2 or more people were conspiring in order to prevent voting rights from being counted properly. And then conspiracy to defraud the United States does involve this intent element that you knew the information was false. You went forward anyway and attempted to defraud the United States. A lot of the defrauding here, though, could go with the false documents that were created for the false electors, if that helps. Okay, excellent. Oh, absolutely. I'm happy to help as best as I can. So here we go. Crowd noise. Again, this is a transcript and it goes line by line with what was said that day. I can't show the actual speech, but we can go through the language here. He says, it's not intent as he at no point says to riot. He did say march peacefully. Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that for a minute. You know, do you have to ask a crowd of people specifically to do a specific action in order for it to be seen as incitement? Or can you put the words together and then they go forward based upon the inflammation you have created and then commit the act? The word itself, riot, doesn't have to be used, but if the language you're using results in a riot, which is an imminent lawless action under the Brandenburg test, now we've got some illegal language. Yeah, I mean, I think we've got a... Yeah, I did hear about Florida. It's a tax attorney, and no offense, but the petition's a little bit weak. I'm sorry. I was just reading a comment at the same time. Right. And you can say, go peacefully and march peacefully. But when you're using languages like, we won't allow them to steal from us, or we will stop the steal, or we will make it so that we have, our rights, whatever's, as we go through this, that's pretty inflammatory. How can you infer an instruction to riot from protest peacefully? Okay, all right, let's talk about that. So I go out, let's just put it into a hypothetical. I go out and I talk to a crowd and I say, hey, let's keep it peaceful, everybody. Let's speak peaceful. And then I say to the crowd, the person in that building has ruined your lives, taken all of your money, taken all of your freedom, taken all of your rights. The only way for you to be okay is to go into that building and get that person. But let's do it peacefully. What's going to happen? What's going to happen if I use that language? So it's not my fault that one person is targeted now and is in harm's way because I've said don't riot. Yeah. And again, even if he said peacefully, it doesn't matter. You can say peacefully. You can say, let's be calm. You can say all those things. But if all of the other language you're saying is inciting lawless activities, you're going to have some troubles. So thank you. I'd love to have, if those tens of thousands of people, so this shows he knows numbers, or is assuming numbers, would be allowed, the military, the Secret Service, and we want to thank you, and the police, law enforcement. Great, you're doing a great job. But I'd love it if they could be allowed to come up here with us. Is that possible? Can you just let them come up, please? And Rudy Giuliani, you did a great job. He's got guts. You know what? He's got guts, unlike a lot of people in the Republican Party. He's got guts. So that's a little bit of inflammatory language as well. That's going to be the word of tonight, is going to be inflammatory. That's my new favorite word. He's got guts. He fights. And I tell you, thank you very much, John Eastman. Fantastic job. I watched. So that's a tough act to follow, those two. John is one of the most brilliant lawyers in the country, and he looked at this and he said, what an absolute disgrace that this could be happening to our Constitution. And he looked at Mike Pence, and I hope Mike is going to do the right thing. That's pretty specific language again in reference to the vice president, saying, I hope he does the right thing. I think we'll find out later what he means by the right thing. I hope so. I hope so. Because if Mike Pence does the right thing, we win the election. Now, this is interesting too, because it's a false statement, but he's also pinning it on a particular person. So if Mike Pence does what he believes is the right thing, what Trump believes is the right thing, then we'll win. So the other side of it is, if he doesn't, then we'll lose. So he's responsible now if we lose based on this sentence. All he has to do, all this is from a number one, or certainly one of the top constitutional lawyers in our country. He has the absolute right to do. Again, this information is false. We're supposed to protect our country, support our Constitution, and protect our Constitution. Again, this is all language that's absolutely fine to say. States want to revote. Now again, we're straight into false information that's in support of the actions he's asking. The states want to revote. The states got defrauded. Again, this is pretty triggering language. They were given false information. So he's supporting this idea, right, that we're supposed to win the election based off of this information he's setting out here. They voted on it. Now they want to recertify. This is also the language that is cited in the DC indictment. So that's another reason why I'm highlighting it. They want it back. All Vice President Pence has to do is send it back to the states to recertify. And we become president, and you are the happiest people. Again, this exact wording is in the DC indictment. But let's take a moment. So he's been told multiple times the vice president can't do it, according to the DC indictment. He was told by agencies, courts, everybody. And so he was given that knowledge that Vice President Pence could not do it. But then he's saying now that he's asking President Pence to do something that is outside of the scope of the oath that Vice President Pence took. So let's just take a moment to acknowledge that. In public, during this speech, he is asking the vice president to commit an act that is unconstitutional, is not allowed. This can be contested, absolutely can be contested, and will be argued back and forth. But that language is pretty significant. Pretty significant language. He uses we to make it personal to the supporters. I think so. They did change the law because they wanted to make sure that, nobody could even question. Because the questions that were asked, everyone had agreed would not pass, constitutional muster, which is what we call it. None of them would. But they said, you know what? We had to duck down in the aisles in the House of Representatives and run for our lives. So if we can kind of firm this language up a little bit, let's go ahead and do that. Why not? Pence is taking quite a bit of a hit here, several places. So if he does the right thing, we win. If he doesn't do the right thing, and exactly what he needs to do is he needs to send it back, even though that goes against the Constitution. All of that language is set out here, but it's really being emphasized. Again, this particular portion of the speech is included in the language of the DC indictment. Yeah, peacefully and patriotically let your voices be heard. Yes, and I think that's a really key element. But again, if you say, let's be peaceful, let's be patient, and then you say, in that house across the road, they stole something from you, and it's up to you to fight for that, what's going to happen? What kind of accountability do we have for that? That's kind of the question that we're kicking around tonight. And I just spoke to Mike and I said, Mike, that doesn't take courage. What takes courage is to do nothing. That takes courage. And then we're stuck with a president who lost the election by a lot, and we have to live with that for 4 more years. So that's some pretty inciting language also. We're just not going to let that happen. Many of you have traveled from all across the nation to be here, and I want to thank you for the extraordinary love. That's what it is. There's never been a movement like this ever, for the extraordinary love for this amazing country and this amazing movement. Thank you. So, oh, thank you. This is my little turtle ring. That is a lapis stone hanging out with me tonight. Now we've got crowd noise here. Right, exactly, Jenny. That's the question, isn't it? You know, be peaceful, but yet they stole it. You know, let's take it back. So there's a lot of words here that are contradictory. By the way, this goes all the way back past the Washington Monument. Do you believe this? Look at this. Unfortunately, they gave the press the prime seats. I can't stand that. So again, we're coming out. So far, we've got Vice President Pence and we've got the press that are getting hit pretty hard here. No, but you look at that behind. I wish they'd flip those cameras and look behind you. That is the most amazing sight. When they make a mistake, you get to see it on television. Amazing, amazing. Now again, who has made this mistake? They make a mistake all the way back. And don't worry, we will not take the name off the Washington Monument. Okay, I'm not sure what that means. We will not. Cancel culture. Oh, we've got another buzzword. Okay. Oh, I didn't realize the Washington Monument was getting canceled. You know, they wanted to get rid of the Jefferson Memorial. Either take it down or just put something else in there. Now, this if you're looking at the rhetoric itself, this language is like, let's take these kinds of very sacred, important symbols and let's get rid of them. That's pretty, that's some inflammatory language also. Also, with this administration, if this happens, it could happen. You'll see some really bad things happen. So now we've got some really bad things that are going to happen. Again, I think the big piece here is fear. We've got some fear mongering going on. Yes, and some threats. No, that's what people were doing. Shelby, okay, let me ask you that. I didn't know. I'm misinterpreting. Were people talking about changing the name of the Washington Monument? I truly just don't know. I don't know. Were they talking about changing the Jefferson Memorial? They were. No, they weren't. Yes, and taking them down. That's misinformation. All right, well, let's take a look. Let's just take one moment here, real quick. Okay, that's bad information. Yeah. Sorry, I've checked my sources and I'm feeling pretty confident about that. Nope, that's bad information. So I recommend for you, because you won't believe me, but I recommend for you to double check your sources. Yes, that's not good information. And I understand, but I recommend, the Confederate statues. We're not talking about the Confederate statues. We're talking about Jefferson Memorial and the Washington Monument. There's no Confederate statues here. We're talking about these two monuments, and the sources that I use are saying that is incorrect. So I just recommend to those that think it is to check your sources. So we'll move on from there. Yes, I'm not saying Google is the only source. I'm just saying, I think there are lots of different search engines you can use. All right, they'll knock out Lincoln too, by the way. All right, now that I do know is incorrect. And even by the language used, he's just making that point, which again, that's freedom of speech. You can do that. But if he's saying we're going to take down your sacred monuments, that could be seen as inciting language. They've been taking his statue down. So that, again, we don't have information of that. But then we signed a little law. You hurt our monuments, you hurt our heroes, you go to jail for 10 years, and everything stopped. You notice that it stopped. It all stopped, and they could use Rudy back in New York City. Okay, again, this is a bit tangled up. The Dems want to remove, he's saying that because, let me just double check here. He's saying that because the Dems wanted to remove a ton of statues. Okay, Jennifer, I really we just don't have that kind of information. If you're talking about the Confederate statutes, is that what we're talking about? The statues, your heroes are the Confederates? Is that what you're talking about? Those are the heroes? Okay. Okay, I got it. All right, well, I'm not going to be able to give you a good answer for that. Um, I don't know. I'm trying to think, because we had like the Spanish American War, and like none of the generals or leaders of the Spanish War have monuments. So I guess I would put it to you that way, because we've had lots of wars on the soil. And it seems like the winners tend to get the monuments. But that's just, a way of looking at it. Let's move on. I think this is kind of an ongoing issue here. But you can see, again, this seems like this is a pretty big trigger when we're talking about taking down monuments 60 years later. Yeah, I just don't. If you know anything about that, it's clearly a trigger for people. So, but we're not erasing history. I don't think anyone's erasing any history. I think it's historical about that. Yeah, they weren't even part of the United States at the time because they had seceded. Yeah, it's a huge trigger. You're right. Trigger warning. All right, well, let's move on. We'll have to agree to disagree on that, but we can agree this is a huge inciting issue that we can agree on. All right, so I will have to look into that further. This is very fascinating. I have not spent much time looking into this, so that I think is something I will need to educate myself on the statue issue. So I'm making a little note right here to myself to look it up so I can gain more knowledge. Yeah, it's a trigger. It's a huge trigger. Yeah, Jordan, no need to be rude now. I think we all get triggered. The Confederates are the Democrats, though. Well, everybody has our parties were a little bit different back in 1864, so I'm not sure. Yeah, oh my goodness, let's move on. Whoa, holy buckets, Batman. I did not realize how hot. I am not in the South. I am not in the in the area affected by that. So I did not realize that was such a big issue. Yep, back to the speech. Noted. Okay, still do not have any idea what the votes are. We still have congressional seats under review, and that's false. They have no idea. They've totally lost control. They've used the pandemic as a way of defrauding the people in a proper election. Again, I think that language is fine. But when you see this and when you see what's happening, number one, they all say, "Sir, we'll never let it happen again." Now, that's pretty inflammatory language. We'll never let it happen again. I said, that's good, but what about 8 weeks ago? They try and get you to go. They say, "Sir, in 4 years, you're guaranteed." I said, "I'm not interested right now. Do me a favor. Go back 8 weeks. I want to go back 8 weeks. Let's go back 8 weeks." Wow, we said 8 weeks 3 times. So there must be some kind of a important element involving 8 weeks. Oh my goodness. We want to go back. We want to get this right, because we're going to have somebody in there that should not be in there, and our country will be destroyed. All right, that's some pretty inflammatory language as well. So if you say something is going to be destroyed, your country is going to be destroyed. We had statues that were going to be destroyed, and now we've got your country that's going to be destroyed. And we're not going to stand for that. That, I think, is a good question. Are we just talking about speeches? Yeah, 8 weeks ago, right, is November, November 3rd. what? Let's just double check. It was November 3rd, wasn't it? I have that date correct, don't I? I'm so thrown off by the Confederate statute situation. Yeah. Got it. Got it. Yeah. Let me just make sure I've got the date. November 5th. All right, November 5th. Well, it was an odd number at least, so I was close. November 5th. All right, we got it. We got it. So this is some pretty, again, inflammatory language where we're saying we're not going to stand for that. Your country is going to be destroyed. That's pretty significant language there. For years, Democrats have gotten away with election fraud. Hey, now that's pretty significant language. And weak Republicans, and that's why they are. There's so many weak Republicans. We have great ones, Jim Jordan, and some of these guys. They're out there fighting. Again, some triggering language. The House guys are fighting. All right. But it's incredible. Many of the Republicans, I helped them get in. I helped them get elected. I helped Mitch McConnell get elected. I could name 24 of them. Well, that's interesting, a specific number. Let's just make a note of that we've got 24 of them here. And I've helped again, I helped, and then I helped. I won't bore you with it. And then all of a sudden you have something like this. It's like, oh, gee, maybe I'll talk to the president sometime later. No, it's amazing. The weak Republicans, they're pathetic Republicans. And that's what happens. Yikes. If this happened to the Democrats, there'd be something all over the country going on. I can't use that word. There'd be something all over the country again. But just remember this, you're stronger. You're smarter. You've got more going than anybody. And they try and demean everybody having to do with us. You're the real people. Again, there's this kind of language involved saying, you're super special. You're strong. We're not going to take this. You're the people that built this nation. You're not the people that tore down our nation. Yeah, the language is very interesting here. The weak Republicans, and that's it. I really believe it. I think I'm going to use the term the weak Republicans. You got a lot of them. And you got a lot of great ones, but you got a lot of weak ones. They've turned a blind eye even as Democrats enacted policies that chipped away at our jobs, weakened our military, threw open our borders, and put America last. Did you see the other day where Joe Biden said, I want to get rid of America First policy? What's that all about? Get rid of it. How do you say, quote, I want to get rid of America First? Even if you're going to do it, don't talk about it, right? Don't talk about it. Oh my goodness. Unbelievable what we have to go through. And you have to get your people to fight. Again, we have this fighting language. Get your people to fight. And if they don't fight, what's going to happen if they don't fight? We have to primary that blank out of the ones that don't fight. Whoa. So there's some negative repercussions. You primary them. Ooh, we're going to let you know who they are. Oh no, I can already tell you, frankly. Wow, that language is pretty... My mic came unplugged. All right, hold on, everybody. Sorry about that. Okay, how about now? Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me? All right. Oh, excellent. I'm so glad. Yeah, I'm the language police. I think that's a great name. I'm going to get a hat. All right. Excellent. I'm so glad you told me. I got to keep one eye on the comments here. All right. Excellent. Here we go. So, but this year, using the pretext of this, which I'm not even going to say because that's offensive, this is the speech that Trump gave on January 6th. And the scam of mail-in ballots, which again, we've talked about that from the call to the Georgia Secretary of State. Democrats attempted the most brazen and outrageous election theft. Again, we have this buzzword here, theft. There's never been anything like this. It's a pure theft in America, in American history. It's a pure theft in American history. Everybody knows it. The election, our election, was over at 10 o'clock in the evening. We're leading in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia by hundreds of thousands of votes. And then late in the evening or early in the morning, boom, these explosions of this bad word. And all of a sudden, it started to happen. Now, this is some of the language, again, that's been put out in the indictments regarding intent, regarding the purpose. Don't forget when Mitt Romney got beat. Romney, did you see I wonder if he enjoyed his flight in last night. But when Romney got beaten, he stands up like you're more typical. Well, I'd like to congratulate the victor. The victor? Who's the victor, Mitt? I'd like to congratulate. They didn't go and look at the facts. Now, I don't know. He got this word, probably. Maybe it was okay. Maybe it was. That's what happened. But we look at the facts, and our election was so corrupt that in this history of this country, we've never seen anything like it. You can go all the way back. America is blessed with elections. All over the world, they talk about our elections. You know what the world says about us? They say we don't have free and fair elections. And you know what else they have? You know what else we don't have? Let me flip the page. I don't even know what to pull out of that particular paragraph. Yes, a giant run-on sentence. I agree. I'm just not sure which pieces to pull out of that. So we'll just move on. Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot. Okay, our media is not free. It's not fair. It suppresses thought. It suppresses speech, and it becomes the enemy of the people. Now that is very inflammatory language. This itself, that specific language, we've had cases regarding the use of that kind of language. It's become the enemy of the people. Oops, I put my highlighter down too quick. All right, this is also very inflammatory language. It's the biggest problem we have in this country. So again, he's talking about the press as, again, this kind of common enemy. No third world countries would even attempt to do what we caught them doing, and you'll hear about that in just a few minutes. Republicans are constantly fighting like a boxer with his hands tied behind his back. It's like a boxer, and we want to be so nice. We want to be so respectful, and everybody, including bad people. Now that again, that kind of language is a bit inflammatory, and we're going to have to fight much harder. Again, this idea that we're going to have to fight, and Mike Pence is going to have to come through for us. So again, Vice President Pence has been put back out into the spotlight as the one that he's the one with the power to win the election. And if he doesn't, that will be a sad day for our country because you're sworn to uphold the Constitution. So that language again is putting the responsibility on the vice president. Now it's up to Congress to confront this egregious assault on our democracy. So again, if you're listening to someone talking about an egregious assault and a way for you to fix that or hold someone accountable, you might feel like you should do that. Just as we're going through this. And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here, we're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women. And we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them because you'll never take back our country with weakness. Wow. All right. Again, so we're taking back our country. We can't be weak. You have to show strength and you have to be strong. Show strength and show strong. Words the best words. I think so. If you are being attacked, you have the right to defend yourself. That's what the implication is. Well, yeah. But I think the implication that they're under attack is really the key piece, isn't it? What's the attack? We have electors who were brought in and they were going to go forward with the government proceeding. So what's the attack? And is the attack solely the creation of this language in this speech, that these people are under attack and felt the need to defend themselves? Slide it to the left. Yes, you got it. Oh, I'm so glad you told me. There we go. How am I now? How am I now? Am I okay? Better? More. Here we go. Slowly. Do. He said peacefully protest. Good. He said peacefully protest, but he also said you're under an attack. Those two phrases. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, again, where is this idea that we're under attack coming from? Where's that language coming from? Where is that? Because it's not a visual. We don't have a visual yet. We don't have some kind of people attacking other people. Could you help the people understand legally why speech can be incitement? Sure, absolutely. So we've had since the beginning, we've had a lot of different laws that have set out that certain kinds of language that can lead to imminent lawless actions can be held as not protected by the First Amendment. So you can be charged. Things like harassment, fighting words, clear and present danger situations, defamation, obscenity, all of those things. Those are just words, and you can be charged for using them. And the First Amendment doesn't protect all of your language. You still have some kinds of responsibility when it comes to that. So, for example, we've got a lot of conspiracy charges here. Conspiracy is a conversation between two or more people to go forward in a particular illegal act. So the conspiracy that's charged is the conversation that the people are having with each other, making an agreement to do this act together. He majorly influenced it. Well, that he did, although I'm not sure that particular name, we may want to be careful with some of the names we're using here. But yeah. I mean, typically, in a lot of what a speech is here is protected by the First Amendment. But again, we have to look and see, are we inciting this imminent lawless act? That's under no, you're fine, Crystal, no problem. That's specific under the Brandenburg versus Ohio case. That's the standard that they set out. Yes, and you can make a case you can say that the whole election was completely fraudulent and that it was all wrong. You can say all of that, but to use language saying that you're under attack, your country is, your memorials are, your way of living is, all of those kinds of language, that's different than saying, we have a problem with the election. And you go through courts, right? If there's a problem with elections, you go through the proper channels and you get it sorted out. But if you are standing in front of thousands of people telling them that they are under attack, and if they don't do something immediately, that their way of life is going to end, that could be seen as inciting language. No, JD, I get what you're saying, but there were not thousands and thousands of people at the Capitol that we or anyone said. Anyone, lawyers, none of the lawyers stood up and said you're under attack because of that. Definitely, we in the legal field, all of us debated the Electoral College, but we didn't say your way of life is over unless you go to the Capitol and do something. Yeah, that's the language. I mean, that's, again, is it going to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt? Oh, I have no idea. But I mean, it's some significant language. So we'll continue on here. Yes, I believe Hillary did concede right away from that. And there was ongoing discussion of the Electoral College. Same with Al Gore. There was huge discussion about whether or not the Supreme Court had overstepped. There were a lot of issues with that, but there weren't any riots. There weren't any riots involved in that. That's based off of my political science background. All right, here we go. We've come to demand. Okay, now we're actually making the request here. We have come to demand that Congress do the right thing and that only count the electors who have been lawfully slated. All right, so that's a good line because, if they've been lawfully slated, then the fake electors wouldn't be allowed to be used. But we're also using this language of demand. Like, what's our purpose here today? Our purpose is to make a demand of Congress. So how are we going to make that demand? We'll see if he sets that out. I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully, there's the language, okay, let me just highlight it so everyone knows, and patriotically make your voices heard. Today we will see whether Republicans stand strong for integrity of our elections by whether or not they stand strong for our country. All right, our country. Our country has been under siege for a long time. Again, this is some pretty significant language. For longer than this 4-year period, we've set it on a much straighter course. I thought 4 more years, I thought it would be easy. We created the greatest economy. So before I hop into this sentence, let's just note what happened here in this paragraph. This language, if you're just looking at this language as someone after the loss of an election or even just coming in to talk to the people that voted for him, that makes sense. But if you're standing in front of Congress at the time that you're making these kinds of statements, that may have a different influence. That context, I think, is important. We created the greatest economy in history. We rebuilt our military. We get you the biggest tax cuts in history, right? We got you the biggest regulation cuts. There's no president, whether it's 4 years, 8 years, or in one case more, got anywhere near the regulation cuts. It used to take 20 years to get a highway approved. Now we're down to 2. We want to get it down to 1, but we're down to 2. And it may get rejected for environmental or safety reasons. But we got it down. But we got it down the safety. We created Space Force. Look at what we did. Our military has been totally rebuilt. So we create Space Force, which by and of itself is a major achievement for our administration. And with us, it's one of so many different things. All right. And again, I don't see any language that's necessarily inciting whatsoever in this particular paragraph. It looks like he's just having political discussion, which is fine. Right to try. Everybody knows about right to try. We did things that nobody ever thought possible. We took care of our vets. Our vets, the VA now has the highest rating, 91%, the highest rating that it's had from the beginning, 91% approval rating. Always you watch the VA when it's on the television. What? Okay. What? Every night, people living in a horrible, horrible manner. We got that done. We got accountability done. We got it so that now in the VA, you don't have to wait 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 4 months to see a doctor. If you can't get a doctor, you go outside. You get the doctor. You have them taken care of. Wait, did I read that correctly? Let me go back again. If you can't get a doctor, you go outside, you get the doctor, you have them taken care of, and we pay the doctor. And we've not only made life wonderful for so many people, we've saved tremendous amounts of money. Far secondarily, but we've saved a lot of money. And now we have the right to fire bad people in the VA. Oh, all right, I'm just going to note this word bad is a trigger word, but we have 9,000 people that treated our veterans horribly. In prime time, they would not have treated our veterans badly, but they treated our veterans horribly. And we have what's called the VA Accountability Act. And the accountability says if we see somebody in there that doesn't treat our vets well, or they steal, they rob, they do things badly, we say, Joe, you're fired. Get out of here. Before, you couldn't do that. You couldn't do that before. So we've taken care of things. We've done things like nobody's ever thought possible. And that's part of the last word cut off there. And we are going to sit home and watch a big victory. Okay? And everybody had us down for victory. It was going to be great. And now we're out here fighting. Again, we've got this language here that we're in a fight. And I said to somebody I was going to take a few days and relax after our big electoral victory. 10 o'clock it was over, but I was going to take a few days. And I say this, since our election, I believe, which was a catastrophe when I watched, and even these guys knew what happened. They know what happened. They're saying, wow, Pennsylvania is insurmountable. Wow, Wisconsin, look at the big leads we had. even though the press said we were going to lose Wisconsin by 17 points. Even though the press said Ohio is going to be close, we set a record. Oh my goodness. Yes, indeed. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Florida's going to be close. We set a record. Texas is going to be close. Texas is going to be close. We set a record. And we set a record with Hispanic, with the Black community. We set a record with everybody. Okay. Today we see a very important event though, because right over there, again, we're right next to the place. Right there, we see the event going to take place. I'm going to be watching because history is going to be made. This again is that language of saying we're at this kind of pivotal moment. We're going to see whether or not we have great and courageous leaders, or whether or not we have leaders that should be ashamed of themselves throughout history. Throughout eternity, they'll be ashamed. And you know what? If they do the wrong thing, we should never forget that they did. Never forget. We should never forget. With only 3 of the 7 states in question, we win the presidency of the United States. All right, that's a lot. That's a lot right here. That's a lot of language stating that there could be problems. So they should be ashamed. They should be ashamed of themselves if they don't do the right thing. If they do the wrong thing, they should never forget that they did it. So this could be seen as maybe threatening language. Yeah. Yes, the prosecution can show the video. The biggest problem is going to be with any of the videos. Oh my goodness. With any of the videos is going to be a 403 objection. Now, a 403 objection under the rules of evidence means that if a picture or a video or something is so shocking to the jury, is so unsettling or upsetting that it would have too much of a prejudicial effect on them, it's possible to get it tossed out in a motion in limine. I have no doubt that the motions in limine will cover things like this speech or like video, where they will be claiming it's just too prejudicial. It's too hard for the jury to see these things. So that could possibly happen. Criminal actions. Yes, that's correct. It is a lot of run-on sentences. Oh, you're welcome. Absolutely. And by the way, it's much more important today than it was 24 hours ago, because I spoke to David Perdue. What a great person. And Kelly Loeffler. 2 great people, but it was a setup. And you know, I said, we have no back line anymore. What does that mean? We have no back line anymore. I'm lost a little bit there. Too hard for a jury. It was broadcast on TV. I agree. I think that would be what the defense would argue. True. Absolutely true, AC. You got it. I'm just saying, yeah, the defense will argue this is going to be too prejudicial. The jury won't be able to look at it as evidence. They'll look at it as more of an emotional request. Right. Again, this attacking language. Interesting. The only back line, the only line of demarcation, the only line that we have is to veto. What is the veto of the President of the United States? What? All right. So this is now what we're going to do, a far more important election than it was 2 days ago. So we're vetoing something. All right. I'm not sure exactly what that is. I should have paid more attention. Oh, I got it. Oh, that's right. Incriminating to my client. Yeah, I know. It's tough. Yeah, okay, I got it. Oh, I'm so thankful you can fill me in, everybody. I appreciate that. Wants to edit the text. Yes, I know. I know. I want to thank the more than 140 members of the House. So now it's like we had questions on who was involved. So maybe that gives us some idea. Those warriors, again, this language that we're in a fight, that we're in an attack situation. They're over there working like you've never seen before, studying, talking, actually going all the way back, studying the roots of the Constitution, because they know we have the right to send a bad vote that was illegally got. Wow. That's some pretty, again, significant language. They gave these people bad things to vote for, and they voted. Because what did they know? Whoa. And then, when they found out a few weeks later, again, it took them 4 years to devise history. And the only unhappy person in the United States, single most unhappy, is Hillary Clinton. Because she said, why didn't you do this for me 4 years ago? Why didn't you do this for me 4 years ago? Change the votes. 10,000 in Michigan. We could have changed the whole thing. You could have changed the whole thing. That's interesting. But she's not too happy. You notice you don't see her anymore. What happened? Where is Hillary? Where is she? Ooh. All right. I'm wondering again if we're bringing this up as another trigger. He said before the election day that he would only accept the results if he won. Very true. He did. It was a bad idea. Inez, eat some cheese. Eat some cheese. Have some cheese and crackers with your with your beverage. Why did he bring up the name? It's a good question. I think the same reason why perhaps we brought up the other statues, because it's kind of that trigger point. But I want to thank all of those congressmen and women. I also want to thank our 13 most courageous members of the U.S. Senate. Oh, so now we've got an idea. And this was something when I was reading the indictment, I wasn't so sure about who they were calling. But now it looks like we've got a list. So let's look at it. Senator Ted Cruz, Senator Ron Johnson, Josh Hawley, Kelly Loeffler. And Kelly Loeffler, I'll tell you, she's been so great. She works so hard. So let's give her and David a little special because it was rigged against them. Okay, we've got more rigging here. Let's give her and David. Kelly Loeffler, David Perdue. They fought a good race. They never had a shot. Oh. That equipment should never have been allowed to be used. Whoa. And I was telling these people, don't let them use this stuff. Well, that's interesting. So now we're questioning equipment here. Now, that, again, we're walking that line with defamation, right? Marsha Blackburn, terrific person. Mike Braun, Indiana. Steve Daines, great guy. Bill Haggerty, John Kennedy, James Lankford, Cynthia Lummis, Tommy Tuberville, the coach, and Roger Marshall. We want to thank them, senators that stepped up, and we want to thank them. I actually think, though, it takes, again, more courage not to step up. And I think a lot of those people are, and then a line got cut off. Sorry about that, everybody. Down the tubes. All right, there we are. You know, we don't want to give up 2,000 to people. So let's just take a moment here. We've named some senators. We've named some people in Congress. So we've got an idea now of who they were calling then, which was set out in the DC indictment. We want to give them $600. Oh, great. How does that play politically? Pretty good. And this has nothing to do with politics. But how does it play politically? Oh, my goodness. I'm not going to say that. This place did that. We didn't destroy. This place destroyed them, totally destroyed them. We want to give them $600. So it seems like pretty sporadic. I mean, I've got a sentence here that was cut off. So I've got one sentence here, and I think a lot of those people are, and then blah, 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 period. And then we're flipping to this next piece into talking about another country here. All right, we'll pay it back fast. You already owe $26 trillion. Yikes. Give them a couple of bucks. Let's let them live. Give them a couple of bucks. Wow. And some of these people here disagree with me on that. But I just say, look, you got to let people live. And how does this play, though? Okay, number one, it's the right thing to do. But how does that play politically? I think it's the primary reason. One of the primary reasons. The other was just pure cheating. Whew, that was the super primary reason, but you can't do that. You got to use your head. Wow. I'm going to take just 1 minute here. I feel like I'm missing something. Let me just go down to that language. I just want to make sure I get that final sentence in correctly. I'm confused that he's hopped over into this kind of negative country talk. Sorry, one moment, please. All right, here's the sentence from the previous page. Let me just clarify, okay, just so that we get the language exactly right. I actually think, though, it takes, again, more courage not to step up. And I think a lot of those people are going to find that out. And you better start looking at your leadership, because the leadership has led you down the tubes, and then that flips straight into the talk of another country. All right, so it was just that sporadic. I had thought we missed something, but no, that was the exact language. So I actually think, though, it takes more courage. A lot of people are going to find out, and you better start looking at your leadership, because leadership has led you down the tubes. All right, so here we are back in. Just needed to confirm that. Had to check my receipts. Well, all right, am I in frame? Just let me double check. Sorry, I had to, I've got to check my source here. If I ever think there's a problem, I've got to double check it. Give them a couple of bucks. Sounds like let them eat cake. It kind of does, doesn't it? A little to the right. All right, here we go. How's that? Is that okay? Yosemite Sam. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. Great. Let me hop back in now. Sorry about that. I just kept thinking, like, wait, did we miss a sentence? But we didn't. We didn't miss one. All right. As you know, the media has constantly asserted the outrageous lie that there was no evidence of widespread fraud. All right. Okay. You ever see these people? Well, there is no evidence of fraud. Oh, really? Well, I'm going to read you pages. I hope you don't get bored listening to it. Promise? Don't get bored listening to it. All those hundreds of thousands of people back there. Move them up, please. Yeah, all those people. Don't get bored. Don't get angry at me, because you're going to get bored, because it's so much. The American people do not believe the corrupt fake news anymore. They have ruined their reputation. Yikes. But it used to be that they'd argue with me. I'd fight, so I'd fight, they'd fight. I'd fight, they'd fight. Boop, boop. I'm sorry, just a moment, please. Oh my gosh. All right. Oh my gosh. Boop, boop. All right. All right, here we go. Here we go. You'd believe me. You'd believe them. Somebody comes out, they had their point of view. I had my point of view, but you'd have an argument. Now what they do is they go silent. It's called suppression. I think that's a bit of a buzzword. I think we can put suppression as a buzzword. Boop, boop. I can't. Seriously, I'm having a moment. I'm just having a moment. Oh my goodness gracious. All right. And that's what happens in this kind of a country. Accordion. Oh, gosh. We have to laugh, right? Or else we would cry. We would all cry. All right. That's what they do. They suppress. You don't fight with them anymore unless it's a bad story. If they have a little bad story about me, they'll make it 10 times worse, and it's a major headline. But Hunter Biden, whoa, all the way back to January 6th, Hunter Biden's in the speech. They don't talk about him. What happened to Hunter? Where's Hunter? Where is Hunter? They don't talk about him. Please read the boo-boo part again. I don't know that I can. I don't know that I can. All right. I'll go back. I'll go back one sentence here, okay? But it used to be that they'd argue with me. I'd fight, so I'd fight. They'd fight, I'd fight. They'd fight. Boop, boop. Gosh. And then now we're back with Hunter Biden, all right? Oh my gosh. Where's the boop, boop? It's right here. Boop, boop. He was in Maryland. I have no idea where Hunter Biden was. New t-shirt. Oh my god. I can't. Oh my gosh. It just keeps, I feel like I've seen it all, and then something more comes into play, and I'm like, all right, well, that's what's happening now. So here we go. Oh my goodness. All right. Now watch, all the sets will go off. What does he mean by sets? Now watch, all the sets will go off. Well, they can't do that because they get good ratings. What does he mean by sets? Imagine comparing the speech with the Gettysburg Address. Oh, TV sets. I'm sorry. That's my bad. Okay, yeah, the Gettysburg Address. Oh, my goodness. Oh, all right. I need a moment. Oh, all right, here we go. The ratings are too good. Now where's Hunter? And how come Joe has allowed to give $1 billion of money to get rid of the prosecutor in Ukraine? What? How does that happen? I'd ask you that question. How does that happen? Can you imagine if I said that? If I said that it would be a whole different ball game. And how come Hunter gets $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife? Whoa. And gets hundreds of thousands of dollars to sit on an energy board, even though he admits he has no knowledge of energy, and millions of dollars up front. And how come they go to this country and they leave with billions of dollars to manage? Have you managed money before? No, I haven't. Oh, that's good. Here's about $3 billion. My goodness gracious. My goodness. Fear farming. Yes. I think that's very good. No, they don't talk about that. No, we have corrupt media. They've gone silent. They've gone this place. I now realize how good it was if you go back 10 years. I realize how good, even though I didn't necessarily love him, I realize how good it was, like a cleansing motion, right? But we don't have that anymore. We don't have a fair media anymore. Boop, boop. I just can't. Oh my gosh. That's literally what's in. I'm going to have to look that part of the video up again. Oh my goodness. It's suppression, and you have to be very careful with that. And they've lost all credibility in this country. We will not be intimidated into accepting the hoaxes and the lies that we've been forced to believe over the past several weeks. So that's some pretty inflammatory language here as well. All right. We've amassed overwhelming evidence. Ooh, all right. Here's some more language about a fake election. This is the presidential election. Last night was a little bit better because of the fact that we had a lot of eyes watching one specific state, but they cheated anyway. All right. So that again is pretty inflammatory language. Yeah. Where is the evidence? Is it coming up? Let's see. Now, let me just, again, because this did get cut off, and, that really throws me for a loop. So let me just add the language in here that's been cut off. So this next sentence says, you have one of the dumbest governors in the United States. And you know what? When I endorsed him, and then we're up here now, didn't know this guy. At the request of David Perdue, he said, a friend of mine is running for governor. What's his name? And you know the rest. He was 4th place, 5th place. I don't know. He was doing poorly. I endorsed him. He went like a rocket ship and he won. And then I had to beat Stacey Abrams with this guy, Brian Kemp. I had to beat Stacey Abrams, and I had to beat Oprah? I had to beat Oprah. Used to be a friend of mine. I was on her last show. Her last week, she picked the 5 outstanding people. What? Are we talking about Oprah? Oh my goodness. I don't think she thinks that anymore. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Whew. Once I ran for president, I didn't notice there were too many calls coming in from Oprah. Believe it or not, she used to like me, but I was one of the 5 outstanding people. What? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. He's deeply unwell. You all are so funny. Just so funny. Yes, it's a bit different, isn't it? Yeah, it's a bit different. We're talking about Oprah. Oh my goodness. All right. And I had a campaign against Michelle Obama and Barack Hussein Obama against Stacey. Wow. And I had Brian Kemp. He weighs 130 pounds. What? Did he just say that about the governor? Okay. He said he played offensive line. Okay. I was like, that's random, but I guess if he's talking about his position in football, all right, it makes sense. I'm trying to figure that. I'm still trying to figure that out. He said that the other night. I was an offensive lineman. I'm saying, really? That must have been a very small team. But I look at that and I look at what's happened, and he turned out to be a disaster. This stuff happens. All right. I don't see any insightful language in there. Yeah, I don't think there's, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. Oh my gosh. Oh, what the actual heck. Oh my gosh. Yes, I know. I'm just like, this is funny, but also horrified. Whew, all right. Look, I'm not happy with the Supreme Court. They love to rule against me. I picked 3 people. I fought like this for them. One in particular I fought. They said, sir, cut him loose. He's killing us. The senators, very loyal senators. They're very loyal people. Sir, cut him loose. He's doing this, sir. Cut him loose, sir. I must have gotten half of the senators. I said, no, I can't do that. It's unfair to him, and it's unfair to the family. He didn't do anything wrong. They're made up stories. They were all made up stories. He didn't do anything wrong. Cut him loose, sir. I said, no, I won't do that. We got him through. And you know what? They couldn't give a bad word. They couldn't give another bad word. Let them rule the right way, but it almost seems that they're all going out of their way to hurt all of us and to hurt our country, Okay, now we're back into that language again. Is this political speech, or are we saying we're being harmed? Those are good questions. Couldn't give a inflammatory. Oh my goodness. All right. I read a story in one of the newspapers recently, how I control the 3 Supreme Court justices. I control them. They're puppets. I read it about Bill Barr, that he's my personal attorney, that he'll do anything for me. And I said, it really is genius, because what they do is that, and it makes it really impossible for them to ever give you a victory, because all of a sudden, Bill Barr changed. If you hadn't noticed, I like Bill Barr, but he changed because he didn't want to be considered my personal attorney. And the Supreme Court, they rule against me so much. You know why? Because the story is I haven't spoken to any of them, since virtually they got in. But the story is that they're my puppet, that they're my puppets. And now that the only way they can get out of that, because they hate that, it's not good in a social circuit. And the only way they get out is to rule against Trump. Is he speaking of himself in the third person here? Just taking a moment to acknowledge that. So let's rule against Trump. And they do that. So I want to congratulate them. Oh my goodness. All right. Yeah, water break. I saw somebody in English, please. Oh my gosh. You all are so funny. Jesus, take the wheel. Oh my gosh. Oh, all right. I'm gonna take a drink. Oh my gosh. Okay, hilarity ensues. Yes, the translators. Oh my gosh. Yes. Well, it's just yeah, no, this isn't a deposition. No. Those are all over the place, but this isn't it. No, this is the speech that Trump gave on January 6th. All right, let's hop back in. We're almost done. There's really not that much more. All right. But it shows you the media's genius. In fact, probably If I was the media, I'd do the same way. I hate to say it, but we got to get them straightened out today for the sake of our democracy, for the sake of our Constitution, and for the sake of our children. Sorry, I'm trying here. We lay out the case for the entire world to hear. Do you want to hear it? I don't know if I want to hear it. I'm scared. I'm frightened. Okay, I apologize. Just a minute. Okay. Whew, all right, here we go. Let's get up for it. Getting up for it. Here we go. Save the children. Oh my gosh. All right. Whew, here we go. In every swing state, local officials, state officials, almost all Democrats, made illegal and unconstitutional changes to the election procedures without the mandated approval by the state legislatures. That these changes paved the way for fraud on a scale never seen before. And I think we'd go a long way outside of our country when I say that. So just in a nutshell, you can't make a change on voting for federal election unless the state legislature approves it. No judge can do it. Nobody can do it. Only a legislature. Now let me pull this page down again because my printer, for some reason, has cut off each of these last little sentences here. All right, so no judge can do it. Nobody can do it. Only a legislature. So as an example, in Pennsylvania or whatever, that's literally the next term or whatever, you have a Republican legislature. You have a Democrat mayor, and you have lots of Democrats all over the place. They go to the legislature laughs at them. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right, just making sure, am I in frame again? I just want to make sure I'm in frame. Yes, thank you, C. Marie. You got it. I'm trying. Here we go. Have I moved? How am I? Check the margins. Yeah, that would be the smart thing to do. I can see your paper. Good. It's all, ooh, Betty Boop is shook. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. All right. Here we go. They go to the legislature. The legislature laughs at them, says, we're not going to do that. They say, thank you very much. And they go and make the changes themselves. They do it anyway. And that's totally illegal. You can't do that. So, okay. In Pennsylvania, the Democrat Secretary of State and the Democrat State Supreme Court justices illegally abolished the signature verification requirements just 11 days prior to the election. So think of what they did. No longer is there signature verification. Oh, that's okay. We want voter ID, by the way, but no longer is there signature verification. 11 days before the election, they said, we don't want it. You know why they don't want it? Because they want to cheat. Ooh, that's inflammatory. That's the only reason. Ooh, who would even think of that? We don't want to verify a signature. There were over 205,000 more ballots. That language is also in the indictments. Counted in Pennsylvania. Now think of this. You had 205,000 more ballots than you had voters. That means you had 200. Where did they come from? You know where they came from? Somebody's imagination. Ew. Whatever they needed. So in Pennsylvania, you had 205,000 more votes than you had voters. And the number is actually much greater than that now. That was of a week ago. And this is a mathematical impossibility unless you want to say it's total fraud. Yikes. So Pennsylvania was defrauded. Whoa, yikes again. This was also part of his phone call. So over 8,000 ballots in Pennsylvania were cast by people whose names and date of birth match individuals who died in 2020 and prior to the election. Think of that. Dead people, lots of dead people, thousands. And some dead people actually requested an application. That bothers me even more. Not only are they voting, they want an application to vote. One of them was 29 years old, died. It's incredible. It really is incredible. Oh my goodness. Over 14,000 ballots were cast by out-of-state voters. So these voters that don't live in the state, and by the way, these numbers are what they call outcome determinative, meaning these numbers far surpass, I lost by a very little bit. These numbers are massive, massive. More than 10,000 votes in Pennsylvania were illegally counted, even though they were received after Election Day. Definitely incredible. Absolutely. In other words, they were received after Election Day. Let's count them anyway. And what they did in many cases is they did fraud. They took the date and they moved it back so that it no longer is after Election Day. And more than 60,000 ballots in Pennsylvania were reported received back. They got back before they were even supposedly mailed out. In other words, you got the ballot back before you mailed it, which is also logically and logistically impossible, right? Think of that one. You got the ballot back. Let's send the ballots. Oh, they've already been sent, but we got the ballot back before they were sent. I don't think that's too good. What? 60,000 boo-boos. Oh my goodness. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Oh, goodness. All right. 25,000 ballots in Pennsylvania were requested by nursing home residents, all in a single giant batch, not legal, indicating an enormous illegal ballot harvesting operation. You're not allowed to do it. It's against the law. The day before the election, the state of Pennsylvania reported the number of absentee ballots that had been sent out. Yet this number was suddenly and drastically increased by 400,000 people. It was increased. Nobody knows where it came from. By 400,000 ballots. One day after the election, it remains totally unexplained. They said, well, we can't figure that out. Well, we can't figure that. Now that's many, many times what it would take to overthrow the state. Overthrow the state? Why are we overthrowing a state? It would take to overthrow the state. Just that one element, 400,000 ballots appeared from nowhere right after the election. Oh my goodness. Yes, this is the evidence. This is the evidence to support the attack. By the way, Pennsylvania has now seen all of this. They didn't know because it was so quick. They had a vote, they voted, but now they see all this stuff. It's all come to light. Doesn't happen that fast, and they want to recertify their votes. They want to recertify, but the only way that can happen is if Mike Pence agrees to send it back. And now we're back to the vice president again. Oh, Mike Pence. Okay, so it's up to Mike Pence to save Pennsylvania. This is it. It's up to him. It's all on his shoulders now. Oh my goodness. Mike Pence has to agree to send it back, and many more people in Congress want to send it back. And think of what you're doing. Let's say you don't do it. Whoa. Let's say, well, we have to obey the Constitution. What? Hold on. Okay. All right, let's take a step back here. All right, Mike Pence has to agree to send it back, and many people in Congress want to send it back. And think of what you're doing. Let's say you don't do it. Somebody says, well, we have to obey the Constitution, and you are, because you're protecting our country and you're protecting the Constitution, so you are. But think of what happens. Let's say they're stiffs and they are stupid people. Whoa, this is really distressing here. Let's say they're stiffs and they're stupid people, and they say, well, we really have no choice. Even though Pennsylvania and other states want to redo their votes, they want to see the numbers. They already have the numbers. Go very quickly, and they want to redo their legislature because many of these votes were taken. As I said, because it wasn't approved by their legislature. Because many of the votes were taken, as I said, right, their legislature. That in itself is illegal, and then you have to scam. What? Then you have the scam. All right, this is getting out of control. We have someone saying we have to obey the Constitution, but they're stiffs and they're stupid people. And then we've got a scam going on. And we're talking about, but think of this. If you don't do that, that means you will have a president of the United States for 4 years with his wonderful son. What? All right. That's a lot. This paragraph's a lot. This paragraph's a whole bunch right here. This is a whole bunch of shenanigans. That's the legal term for that paragraph. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they're obsessed. It's like if you don't do this because of your stiffs and your stupid people obeying the Constitution, we're going to have a president with his wonderful son. All right. You will have a president who lost all of these states, or you will have a president, to put it another way, who was voted on by a bunch of stupid people who lost all of these things. Whoa, that's just not nice at all. Wow. It was voted on by a bunch of stupid people who lost all of these things. You will have an illegitimate president. That's what you will have. We can't let that happen. So now we've got that in inflammatory language here. We can't let that happen. These are the facts that you won't hear from the fake news media. It's all part of the suppression effort. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. In fact, when I started talking about it, I guarantee you a lot of the television sets and a lot of those cameras went off. And that's how a lot of cameras back there. So, wait, is he saying that television sets were turned off? Like against the will of the people and their television sets? Is that what he's saying? But a lot of them went off, but these things you don't hear about. You don't hear what you just heard. You don't hear what you just heard? And I'm going to go over a few more states, but you don't hear it by the people who want to deceive you and demoralize you and control you. Whoa, that's some pretty big language. I have no big idea. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness. All right. Yeah, are they just going off themselves? Yeah, somebody's turning off people's television sets, I guess, that are called television sets. Just like the suppression polls that said we're going to lose Wisconsin by 17 points. Well, we won Wisconsin. They don't have it that way because they lose just by a little sliver. But they had me down the day before. Washington Post ABC poll down 17 points. I called up a real pollster. I said, "What is that?" "Sir, that's called a suppression poll. I think you're going to win Wisconsin, sir." I said, "But why do they make it 4 or 5 points?" "Because then people vote. But when you're down 17, they say, hey, I'm not going to waste my time. I love the president, but there's no way." Despite that, we won Wisconsin. This is the Eighth Amendment violation. It feels that way, doesn't it? I agree. Cruel and unusual punishment. We're going to see, but that's called suppression because a lot of people, when they see that, it's very interesting. This pollster said, "Sir, if you're down 3, 4, or 5, people vote. When you go down 17, they say, let's save, let's go and have dinner, and let's watch the presidential defeat tonight on television, darling." Just thinking how all my 7 years of higher education has brought me to this moment in my life, and I just couldn't be more proud. I couldn't. Oh my gosh. Boop, boop. Oh, so many boops, people. We're booping. There's a lot of boops. And just like the radical left tries to blacklist you on most social media, what? We went from television darling to the radical left. Every time I put out a tweet, even if it's totally correct, I get a flag. And they also don't let you get out. On Twitter, it's very hard to come onto my account. It's very hard to get out a message. They don't let the message get out nearly like they should. But I've had many people say, I can't get on your Twitter. I don't care about Twitter. Twitter's bad news. They're all bad news. But you know what? If you want to get out a message, if you want to go through big tech social media, they are really. If you're a conservative, if you're a Republican, if you have a big voice, I guess they call it shadow ban, right? Shadow ban. They shadow ban you, and it should be illegal. I've been telling these Republicans, get rid of Section 230. Oh, really? The boop boop really made us turn a corner. I agree. I mean, that's the language of the President of the United States at the time he made the speech. And for some reason, Mitch and the group, they don't want to put it there. And they don't realize that it's going to be the end of the Republican Party as we know it. The shadow banning on Twitter, it's going to be the end of the Republican Party? Is that right? All right. But it's never going to be the end of us. Never going to be the end of us. All right. Just keep going here. Let them get out. Let the weak ones get out. Ooh, the weak ones. This is time for strength. They also want to indoctrinate your children in school by teaching them things that aren't so. Wow. That's some inflammatory language. They want to indoctrinate your children. It's all part of a comprehensive assault on our democracy. Okay, that's again inflammatory language. And the American people too. Blah, 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 nothing. You do have some groups that are big supporters. I want to thank that Amy Kremer and everybody. We've had some incredible supporters. Incredible. But we didn't do anything. It just happened. All right, I'm taking a moment to make sure I'm in frame again, just to double check. I think I kept my margins in place, but I just want to make sure. The Republican Party. Oh my gosh. Drink a whole bottle of wine after this. I may need to do something. All right, here we go. Water break, and then we'll move into the next page. All right, it's good. All right, here we go. This is what happens when the Hollywood writers go on strike, right? This is what happens. All right. You do have some groups that are big supporters. I want to thank them. Thank that. Amy Kremer and everybody. We have some incredible supporters, incredible, but we didn't do anything. This just happened. 2 months ago, we had a massive crowd come down to Washington. I said, what are they there for? Sir, they're there for you. We have nothing to do with it. These groups, they're forming all over the United States. And we got to remember in a year from now, they're going to start working in Congress. You're going to start working in Congress. All right. And we got to get rid of the weak Congress people, the ones that aren't any good, like Liz Cheney's of the world. Oh, me, that's not nice. We got to get rid of them. We got to get rid. She never wants a soldier brought home. Whoa. Yikes. I've brought a lot of our soldiers home. I don't know. Some like it. They're in countries that nobody even knows the name. Nobody knows where they are. They're doing this. They're great, but they're doing this. They're great. They're great, but they're not great, I guess. They're losing their arms, their legs, their face. I brought them back home, largely back home. Afghanistan, Iraq. Remember, I used to say in the old days, don't go into Iraq, but if you go in, keep the oil. Whoa. Yikes. I'm just going to take a moment here to acknowledge that. We didn't keep the oil. So stupid, these people. And Iraq has billions and billions of dollars now in the bank. And what did we do? We get nothing. We never get. But we do actually. We kept the oil here. We did good. We got rid of this thing. We got rid of plenty of different things that everybody knows and the rebuilding of our military in 3 years. People said it couldn't be done, and it was all made in the USA. All made in the USA. Best equipment in the world. In Wisconsin, corrupt Democrat-run cities deployed more than... Hold on, weren't we just talking about the military? Now we're moving back into Wisconsin. All right, military to Wisconsin. Corrupt Democrat-run cities deployed more than 500 illegal, unmanned, unsecured drop boxes. So everybody sees that, right? This whole thing, we're talking about Liz Cheney in the military, but now we're back in Wisconsin with the drop boxes. All right. Which collected a minimum of 91,000 unlawful votes. It was razor thin. He lost. It was razor thin, the loss. This one thing alone is much more than we would need, but there are many things. Wow, now we're in Wisconsin. Okay. My brain is excited to jello. No. I know it. I know it. I'm just, oh my gosh. It puts everything into perspective after you've looked through the DC indictment and a lot of the language in the Georgia indictment, too. This is where a lot of the information's coming from. I mean, the specific language itself. All right. They have these lock boxes and they pick them up and they disappear for 2 days. People would say, where's that box? They disappeared. Nobody even knew where the H it was. In addition, over 170,000 absentee votes were counted in Wisconsin without a valid absentee ballot application. So they had a vote, but they had no application. And that's illegal in Wisconsin, meaning those votes were blatantly done in opposition to state law. And they came 100% from the Democratic areas, such as Milwaukee and Madison. 100% in Madison. 17,000 votes were deposited in so-called human drop boxes. Human drop boxes? All right, noted. You know what that is, right? Where operatives stuff thousands of unsecured ballots into duffel bags on park benches. What? Across the city in complete defiance of cease and desist letters from state legislatures. What? Your state legislators said, don't do it. They're the only ones that could approve it. They gave tens of thousands of votes. All right. Oh, my goodness. They came in duffel bags. All right, duffel bags. Where did they come from? According to eyewitness testimony, Postal Service workers in Wisconsin were also instructed to illegally backdate approximately 100,000 ballots. The margin of difference in Wisconsin was less than 20,000 votes. Each one of these things alone wins us a state. Great state. We love the state. We won the state. In Georgia, now we're in Georgia. We moved on, Wisconsin, now we're in Georgia. In Georgia, your Secretary of State, who I can't believe this guy's a Republican, he loves recording telephone conversations. He certainly does. He certainly does love recording telephone conversations. No. Oh my gosh. Oh, yes. I thought it was a great conversation personally. So did a lot of other people. Love that conversation. But because it says what's going on. These people are crooked. Yikes. Oh, the inflammatory language. Okay, they're 100%, in my opinion, one of the most corrupt between your governor and your Secretary of State. And now you have it again last night. Just take a look at what happened. What a mess. And the Democratic Party operatives entered into an illegal and unconstitutional settlement agreement that drastically weakened signature verification and other election security procedures. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Now I'm going to skip down these next couple sentences because they're really taking a lot of language here, very derogatory language about two particular people. So let's move on. All right. We've been trying to get verifications of signatures in Fulton County. They won't let us do it. The only reason they won't is because we'll find things in the hundreds of thousands. Why wouldn't they let us verify signatures in Fulton County, which is known for being very corrupt? They won't do it. They go to some other county where you would live, I said. That's not the problem. The problem is Fulton County, home of Stacey Abrams. She did a good job. I congratulate her, but it was done in such a way that we can't let this stuff happen. Right, again. Again, I know. We're coming down to the end, though. Here we go. We won't have a country if this happens. Now, that's pretty significant. What would you do if you heard that? As a result, Georgia's absentee ballot rejection rate was more than 10 times lower than previous levels because the criteria was so off. 48 counties in Georgia with thousands and thousands of votes rejected, 0 ballots. There wasn't one ballot, in other words, in a year in which more mail-in ballots were sent than ever before, and more people were voting by mail for the first time. The rejection rate was drastically lower than it had ever been before. The only way that this can be explained is if tens of thousands, all right, so this is what he's saying, tens of thousands of illegitimate voters were added to the tally. That's the only way you could explain it. By the way, you're talking about tens of thousands. If Georgia had merely rejected the same number of unlawful ballots as in other years, there should have been approximately 45,000 ballots rejected. Far more than what we needed to win, just over 11,000. Oh, my goodness. They should find those votes. Whoa, even in his speech. Let's take a moment for that. He's asking them to find the votes. They should absolutely find that. Just over 11,000 votes. That's what we need. Even in his speech, he's asking for votes. Wow. Yeah, I didn't realize that. No, I didn't realize that. I thought that was only in the phone call, but he's out in front of the Capitol building asking for votes. They defrauded us out of a win in Georgia, and we're not going to forget it. Wow. There's only one reason the Democrats could possibly want to eliminate signature matching, oppose voter ID, and stop citizenship confirmation. Are you a citizenship? You're not allowed to ask that question because they want to steal the election. What? All right, here we go. The radical left knows exactly what they're doing. They're ruthless, and it's time somebody did something about it. And Mike Pence, Mike's back in it again. Vice President Pence, oh no. And Mike Pence, I hope you're going to stand up for the good of our Constitution and for the good of our country. And if you're not, I'm going to be very disappointed in you. I will tell you right now, I'm not hearing good stories. In Fulton County, Republican poll watchers were ejected, in some cases physically, from the room under the false pretense of pipe burst. Water main burst. Everybody leave, which we now know is a total lie. Then election officials pulled boxes, Democrats, and suitcases of ballots out from under a table. You all saw it on television, totally fraudulent, and illegally scanned them for nearly 2 hours, totally unsupervised. Tens of thousands of votes, as that coincided with a mysterious vote dump up to 100,000 votes for Joe Biden. Almost none for Trump. Guess Trump's in the third person again. Oh, that sounds fair. That was at 1:34 a.m. The Georgia Secretary of State and pathetic governor of Georgia. Yikes. That's not very nice. Although he says I'm a great president, I sort of maybe have to. He said the other day, yes, I disagree with the president, but he's been a great president. Okay, thank you very much. Because of him and others, Brian Kemp, vote him the blank out of office, please. Whoa. Saying vote him out of office. Wow. Well, his rates are so low, his approving rating now. Isn't that exactly what he did with the documents at Mar-a-Lago? Could be. Is it all coming together now? I'm wondering. You're welcome, Jamie. I'm trying. Well, his rates are so low, his approving rating now, I think it just reached a record low. They've rejected 5 separate appeals for an independent comprehensive audit of signatures in Fulton counties, which is incorrect. Even without an audit, the number of fraudulent ballots that we identified across the state is staggering. Over 10,300 ballots in Georgia were cast by individuals whose names and dates of birth matched Georgia residents who died in 2020. And prior to the election, more than 2,500 ballots were cast by individuals whose names and birth matched incarcerated felons in Georgia prison. That's a tough break for those incarcerated felons in Georgia. People who are allowed to vote, who are not allowed to vote. Oh, let's just make a note. If you're a felon in Georgia, you're not allowed to vote. Noted. More than 4,500 illegal ballots were cast by individuals who do not appear on the state's own voter rolls. Over 18,000 illegal ballots were cast by individuals who registered to vote using an address listed as vacant, according to the Postal Service. At least 88,000 ballots in Georgia were cast by people whose registrations were illegally backdated. Oh, goodness, that's a lot. And again, this is listed out in the indictment for D.C. 66,000 votes. Each one of these is far more than we need. 66,000 votes in Georgia were cast by individuals under the legal voting age. So this is the legal voting age issue that was brought up. And at least 15,000 ballots were cast by individuals who moved out of the state prior to the November 3rd election. They said they moved right back. They moved right back. Oh, they moved out. They moved right back. Okay, they missed Georgia that much? I do. I love Georgia, but it's a corrupt system. Despite all of this, the margin in Georgia is only 11,779 votes. Each and every one of these issues is enough to give us a victory in Georgia, a big, beautiful victory. Make no mistake, this election's stolen from you, from me, and from the country. And not a single swing state has conducted a comprehensive audit to remove the illegal ballots. This should absolutely occur in every single contested state before the election is certified. Oh my goodness. In the state of Arizona, all right, we're moving on. We're in Arizona now. Over 36,000 ballots were illegally cast by non-citizens. 2,000 ballots were returned with no address. More than 22,000 ballots were returned before they were ever supposedly mailed out. They returned, but we haven't mailed them yet. 11,600 more ballots and votes were counted more than there were actual voters. You see that? So you have more votes again than you have voters. So I'm going to take just a minute here. I may skip down this exact language because it's so clearly stated in the DC indictment, all of this language. So I may do a little bit of skipping here, but he's going into Arizona. He's going into Maricopa County. And this language, again, this is Nevada, is exactly the language that's set out in the DC indictment to explain this idea of defrauding the country. Now, these are the bad acts that are mentioned under the RICO indictment in Georgia. That's where this language has come from. Yes, 61. Yes, exactly. Exactly. So I'm not, again, this is exactly almost word for word the language set out in the indictments to some pieces here. So I am going to skip through his statistics. I don't see how any of this false language is necessarily alone enough for an incitement here. But the issue is all of this information he's saying is part of how, they're under attack. So we'll pass along here just because I know people are it's getting to be a lot. So let's pass this along. I don't want to continue to perpetuate this bad information. We have here, again, going through Michigan and saying these 147,000 votes. Again, this is all in the indictment. A highly troubling matter with the Dominion voting systems, which we all know there was a defamation situation that was involved in that. So this language involving Dominion was all proven to be incorrect via the lawsuit. Now he's going into also this language, clear and convincing or clear evidence, tens of thousands of votes were switched from President Trump to Biden in several counties in Georgia. Again, this language is set out in the indictment. And then I'll pop down to this last paragraph, and then we'll start to get into more of that rhetoric that he's going into. It's drinking too much coffee. Yes, there could be, I think. Right. So let's hop back into it now. We've gone through the bad information. No need to replay that. So, I could go on and on about this fraud that took place in every state, and all of these legislatures want this back. I don't want to do it to you because I love you, and it's freezing out here, but I could just go on forever. I can tell you this. So when you hear, well, there is no evidence to prove any wrongdoing, this is the most fraudulent thing anybody's. This is a criminal enterprise. That's interesting, that language being used, which is what's required in a RICO charge. This is a criminal enterprise, and the press will say, and I'm sure they won't put any of that on there because there's no good. Do you ever see, while there is no evidence to back President Trump's assertion, I could go on and on for another hour reading this stuff to you and telling you about it. There's never been anything like it. Think about it. Detroit had more votes than it had voters. Pennsylvania had 205,000 more votes than it had more. But you don't have to go any. Between that, I think that's almost better than dead people. If you think, right? More votes than they had voters, and many other states also. It's a disgrace that the United States of America, tens of millions of people, are allowed to go vote illegally and not have to verify the identity, citizenship, residency, or eligibility of the votes cast. Republicans have to get tougher. You're not going to have a Republican Party if you don't get tougher. Again, this is that language saying, let's get tough. We got to take over the situation here. We're under attack. They want to play so straight. They want to play so, sir, yes, the United States, the Constitution doesn't allow me to send them back to the States. That's an important sentence that he just said out of his own mouth. Sir, yes, the United States, the Constitution doesn't allow me to send them back to the States. Well, I say, yes, it does, because the Constitution says you have to protect our country and you have to protect our Constitution, and you can't vote on fraud. And fraud breaks up everything, doesn't it? That is not what the Constitution says. Just letting you know. But that's a key piece. Also, direct quote in the DC indictment. Fraud does not break everything up. When you catch somebody in fraud, you're allowed to go by very different rules. Also in the DC indictment. So I hope Mike, again, back to the vice president, has the courage to do what he has to do. Back again. And I hope he doesn't listen to the Renos full of non-citizens, felons, and people who have moved out of state, and individuals, oops, I skipped a line, but I'm okay with that, who are otherwise ineligible to vote. Yet Democrats oppose every effort to clean up their voter rolls. They don't want to clean them up. They're loaded. And how many people here know other people that when the hundreds of thousands and then millions of ballots got sent out, got 3, 4, 5, 6, and I heard one who got 7 ballots. And then they said, you didn't quite make it, sir. We won. We won in a landslide. This was a landslide. All right, here we go. This is the grand finale. Don't skip that line. You take it out of text. All right, sure. Let's go back up. You bet. Let's go back up. When you catch somebody in a fraud, you're allowed to go by very different rules. So I hope Mike has the courage to do what he has to do. And I hope he doesn't listen to the rhinos and stupid people that he's listening to. It is also widely understood that the voter rolls are crammed full of non-citizens, felons, and people who have moved out of state, and individuals who are otherwise ineligible to vote. Yet Democrats oppose every effort to clean up their voter rolls. They don't want to clean them up. They are loaded. And how many people here know other people that when the hundreds of thousands and then millions of ballots got sent out, got 3, 4, 5, 6, and I heard one who got 7 ballots. And then they say, you didn't quite make it, sir. We won. We won in a landslide. This was a landslide. So let's just make sure we've got that. And the stupid people that he's listening to. Got it. They said it's not American to challenge the election. This is the most corrupt election in the history, maybe of the world. You know, you could go to third world countries, but I don't think they had hundreds of thousands of votes, and they don't have voters for them. I mean, no matter where you go, nobody would think this. In fact, it's so egregious, it's so bad, that a lot of people don't even believe it. It's so crazy that people don't even believe it. It can't be true, so they don't believe it. This is not just a matter of domestic politics. This is a matter of national security. So today, in addition to challenging the certification of the election, I'm calling on Congress. Let's just highlight that so that we know what the intent is here. So today, in addition to challenging the certification of the election, some would say obstructing an official government proceeding, I'm calling on Congress and the state legislatures to quickly pass sweeping election reform. And you better do it before we have no country left. Today is not the end, it's just the beginning. With your help, over the last 4 years, we built the greatest political movement in the history of our country, and nobody even challenges that. I say that over and over, and I never get challenged by the fake news. And they challenge almost everything we say. But our fight against the big donors, big media, big tech, and others is just getting started. This is the greatest in history. There's never been a movement like that. You look back there all the way to the Washington Monument. It's hard to believe. We must never allow to happen again, but we're going forward. Okay. Let's go back again. We must stop the steal, and we must ensure that such outrageous election fraud never happens again, can never be allowed to happen again, but we're going forward. So this is again another rallying cry, it seems like. We'll take care of going forward. We got to take care of going back. Don't let them talk. Okay, well, we promise. I've had a lot of people, sir, you're at 96% for 4 years. I said, I'm not interested right now. I'm not interested in right there. Yes, we're almost done. We're almost done. I promise. Here's the evidence. We're almost done. With your help, we will finally pass powerful requirements for voter ID. You need an ID to cash your check. You need an ID to go to the bank, to buy alcohol, to drive a car. Every person should need to show an ID in order to cast your most important thing, a vote. We will also require proof of American citizenship in order to vote in American elections. We just had a good victory in court on that one, actually. We will ban ballot harvesting, which everyone knows is illegal, just FYI, and prohibit the use of unsecured drop boxes to commit rampant fraud. These drop boxes are fraudulent. Therefore, they disappear, and then all of a sudden they show up. It's fraudulent. We will stop the practice of universal unsolicited mail-in balloting. We will clean up the voter rolls that ensure that every single person who casts a vote is a citizen of our country, a resident of the state. Just one moment. Here we go. Of the state in which they vote, and their vote is cast in a lawful and honest manner. We will restore the vital civic tradition of in-person voting on Election Day. Dun, 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 dun. Here we go. So that voters can be fully informed when they make their choice. We will finally hold big tech accountable, and if these people had courage and guts, they would get rid of Section 230, which is the shadow ban issue on Twitter he was discussing. Something that no other company, no other person, and then we've got 4 words. Boop, boop. Boop, boop. Here we go, everybody. Last few paragraphs. Now, it's the last page. I may have knocked it. I just want to make sure I'm in screen. He doesn't want mail-in voting. Yeah, that's a pretty big issue. He doesn't. All right. Yay. Yes, I'm still going. Am I in frame okay, everybody? I didn't get the boop boop joke. It's okay. I'll go back and pull out the boop boop joke here in a couple minutes. All right. All of these tech monopolies are going to abuse their power and interfere in our elections, and it has to be stopped. And the Republicans have to get a lot tougher, and so should the Democrats. They should be regulated, investigated, and brought to justice under the fullest extent of the law. Woo! Law and order is very important. They're totally breaking the law. Together, we will drain the Washington swamp, and we will clean up the corruption in our nation's capital. We have done a big job on it, but you think it's easy. It's a dirty business. It's a dirty business. You have a lot of bad people out there, despite everything we've been through, looking out all over this country and seeing fantastic crowds, although this, I think, is our all-time record. I think you have 250,000 people. 250,000! Looking out at all the amazing patriots here today, I have never been more confident in our nation's future. Well, I have to say, we have to do a little bit careful. We have to be a little bit careful. That's a nice statement, but we have to be a little bit careful with that statement. If we allow this group of people to illegally take over our country, because it's illegal when the votes are illegal, when the way they got there is illegal, when the states that vote are given false and fraudulent information. We are the greatest country on earth. By the way, this should be highlighted as inflammatory. On earth, and we are headed in the right direction. The wall is built. We're doing record numbers at the wall. Now they want to take down the wall. Wow. Let's let everyone flow in. Let's let everybody flow in. We did a great job in the wall. Remember the wall? They said it could never be done. One of the largest infrastructure projects we've ever had in this country. And it had a tremendous impact. And we got rid of catch and release. We got rid of all the stuff that we had to live with. But now the caravans, they think Biden's getting in. The caravans are forming again. They want to come in again and rip off our country. Can't let it happen. As this enormous crowd shows, we have truth and justice on our side. Yay, truth and justice is on our side. We have a deep and enduring love for America in our hearts. This is that rhetoric again. We love our country. We have overwhelming pride in this great country. And we have it deep in our souls. Together, we are determined to defend and preserve government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Here we go. And this is where the eagle flies over. Our brightest days are before us. Our greatest achievements still wait. I think one of our great achievements will be election security, because nobody until I came along had any idea how corrupt our elections were. And again, most people would stand there at 9 o'clock in the evening and say, I want to thank you very much. And they go off some other life. But I said, something's wrong here. Something's really wrong. Can't have happened. And we fight. We fight like blank. And if you don't fight like blank, you're not going to have a country anymore. All right. Now, our exciting adventures and our boldest endeavors have not yet begun. My fellow Americans, for our movement, for our children, and for our beloved country, and I say this despite all that's happened, the best is yet to come. So we're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue. I love Pennsylvania Avenue. And we're going to the Capitol. And we're going to try and give the Democrats are hopeless. They're never voting for anything, not even one vote. But we're going to try to give our Republicans, the weak ones, because the strong ones don't need any of our help, we're going to try to give them the kind of pride and boldness that they need to take back our country. So let's walk down to Pennsylvania Avenue. I want to thank you all. God bless you and God bless America. Thank you all for being here. This is incredible. Thank you very much. Thank you. Whoo, we made it. We made it to the end of that business. Oh my goodness. All right, so let me just take a moment here. Yeah, wine. Ouch. Yeah, it's a bit painful. So, as we've been going through this, then I'm looking for the boop boop for everybody that missed out on that. We have lots of this rhetoric involved saying, we've got problems with the votes, which I get, which is fine. And that's fine. But we also, again, have all of this language of there's an attack. We have to take something back. We won by a landslide. This is an egregious issue. Everything is so bad. We have to stop the steal. All of this language in here is, that language stating, do we need to go forward here and do something? We need to walk down the road. Sorry, I'm looking for the boop boop. Just one moment, please. $8,000 ballots in Pennsylvania. I helped Mitch McConnell. Here we go. Oh, I found it. All right, here we go. So, as part of this speech and as part of this language that he's going through, saying that, we've got voter suppression, we've got fraud breaks up everything, all rules are off. And so we're talking here, where's the evidence of fraud? There's no evidence. We have to follow the Constitution. So this language is involved. And then he's saying, I'm going to tell you about it. And he's coming down here and he's saying, the American people do not believe the corrupt fake news anymore. They have ruined their reputation. But it used to be that they'd argue with me. He's talking about the media. I'd fight, so I'd fight. They'd fight, I'd fight, they'd fight, boop, boop. You'd believe me, you'd believe them. Somebody comes out, they had their point of view. I had my point of view, but you don't have an argument. Now what they do is they go silent. It's called suppression. So this is the boop, boop moment. I'd fight, they'd fight, we'd fight, boop, boop. Boop, boop. So that's where that language came from when he's referring to this ongoing issue between the media and what's being spoken about. Yes, the boop boop, not the boop boop. I know the boop boop's back. It's like yada yada. I think you are correct. Yes, I think you're right. Yeah, can I get a boop boop? I know, right? So as we're going through this, a lot of the key pieces here are, yes, there's a lot of language in here that's fine for anyone to say. And it's okay for anyone to say, I don't think everything was done properly. And that's why he filed the lawsuits. But what you don't do is stand in front of a huge group of people and you say, just down the road are the people that have stolen your country from you, from your monuments. They're going to harm your children. They're going to hurt everything, and put all of this into a situation where it's like, if you don't defend yourself, we're not going to have a country, and then point at the building and the people that you need to go after in order to have a country. So that kind of language could be seen as inciting this imminent lawless action, which is under the Brandenburg versus Ohio case, which is the test for freedom of speech. Right, exactly. To fight that way. And they did have weapons. Many of them had weapons. There were a lot of questions. And so again, this language, and I highlighted in orange, this language that was kind of inflammatory. We're fighting. History is going to be made. Right over there is where they're at, the people that are going to destroy your country. We've got warriors here. We have the right to send a bad vote back. It was illegally gotten. Now, again, we've got all of this inflammatory language, the suppression issues going on, just page after page. We won't have a country if this happens. We have all of these illegitimate votes. We have the Secretary of State who's, bad, the governor, and so on. All of this language, again, citing in theft, assaultive language, pure theft. And if you don't do anything right now, you're not going to have a country. So when does that political speech cross the line into inflammatory, knowingly inciting language for unlawful actions? And that's a really big point to take a look at. In this speech, he united them under a cause and made them afraid and pointed out the enemies. He did, Daisy. That's exactly it. He pointed out who the enemies are, where they are, and what needs to happen. And at the head of the enemies was Vice President Mike Pence. If Mike Pence does the right thing, we win. But if he doesn't, we lose. So he's made someone a target, which is another situation altogether. Right. Enticing. Right. So again, this isn't just like a, hey, we're frustrated and those kinds of things. We're saying, this is a historical moment. They're trying to demean everybody. You are the real people. This country will be destroyed. We're not going to stand for it. I mean, that language has the implications of this, kind of emergency type situation where we have to go forward and do some kind of action. And it just so happens that they're down the road. Incitement started before January 6th. It did, Mike. Absolutely, it did. That kind of language. But this speech is really what sealed it and was kind of that permission, if you will, or that moment saying, I'm here with you. I'm going to go with you. We're not going to stand for this assault. We are not going to lose our country. And so we have to go forward and do what we need to do. Yes. Well, Pelosi, it's interesting because there's a very interesting call between Pelosi and Pence where Pelosi's like, I'm really worried about you. And he's like, I'm okay. I'm with the cops. They've got me. and they're saying that we're going to be able to go back in a couple hours. So I think that's really enlightening. If you get a chance, you can look that up on YouTube, this phone call between Pelosi and Pence. And in those moments when everyone is ducking and hiding under their chairs, and, these two leaders at the time are having this discussion about what to do for safety. It's fascinating. Paper up an inch. Push the paper up. Sure, you got it. How's this? Is this better? Just let me know. Let me know. Is that all right? Is that better? More? Push it up more. Okay. Do. Here we go. There we go. A little more. More. I'm on a bit of a delay here. Yes, there are interviews with the police chief, but I don't think going through the exact words of Mr. Trump on January 6th is a waste of time. And to the left. Okay. Just a little more boop. Okay, got it. How's that? Are we there? This there? Are we there? Did we get it? Am I close? I'm waiting. I'm on the edge of my seat. Now to the left. Good. We're good. Yep, we're good. Are we good? Just up a bit. Oh, all right. That's as good as I'm going to get, I think. It's good. Okay. It's good. It's good enough. It's going to have to be good enough, people. I'm so sorry. My screens are off a little bit here. He was using his position of power and manipulating false information to a large audience for action. That's exactly right. Queen Kaylee, you got it. That's exactly right. And that kind of, that's not protected. It's not. You can remove the comments if you swipe right. Yes, you absolutely can. Hopefully, and have a better screen here for you. This speech, again, is available. It's been transcribed multiple different places. You can get it at multiple different sources. And it's also available to watch the entire thing on YouTube as well. They have the entire speech up. So you can go through it as well. Have to boop out of here. It's been a bit of a ride here tonight. Oh, you're welcome. Why wasn't he impeached for January 6th? Yeah, so you're going to have to take a look into that. You're going to have to look into that. There's nothing I can say regarding the impeachments that you're going to believe. You will need to look into that yourself and look at the evidence and come to your conclusions on that. Yes, I mean, we're just talking about the speech he gave on January 6th. This language, a lot of it's used in the DC indictment, a lot of it's used in the Georgia indictment as proof of some pieces of some of the charges. This certainly isn't all of it by any means, but it is a piece of evidence that they're using that I think is very helpful. And, it was given. Yeah, we do have 2 impeachments. Going back to you two. Yes, hear the boop. I may have to look that up myself, Sheila. Oh, it was just as painful to read it. I know it. I know. Oh, I know. No, this is the speech. This is the speech where they are saying everything that he said here was just political speech, that it's covered by the First Amendment. And so I think by going through it and actually looking at the language, we can kind of pull out that language when, we're kind of looking at inciting. He was in boop twice. He was. Yeah, we didn't get the conviction in the Senate, but they said, this should be taken care of in criminal court. If you'll remember what a lot of Republicans said, they said impeachment isn't the right place for this. Let's take it to criminal court. And now it's in criminal court, and many are saying this shouldn't be in criminal court. It should be a question of impeachment. So yeah, I think there's a lot of insight into what was going on. And, when you watch it, you can see how the crowd responds to different things. I mean, again, when we first started out, when we were talking about different statues and what was going on there, we could see how triggering that was just by looking at the comments as we went through. People were getting very upset. about different points of view on it. And, that's what was being used as well in this situation. So you can see that. Yes, if the House impeaches you, you go to the Senate and you have a trial, and then that trial can convict you. That's how it works. Right. Yeah. Both parties we need a party that's more in the middle. You're not wrong. I'm just not sure how it's going to happen. One more indictment will ensure his election. Keep it up. Perhaps. If that's how you want to vote, that's up to you. That's your right. That is absolutely your right as an American to vote however you choose to vote. Ask a question about Georgia when you have a moment. Sure, we can talk about Georgia. Yep, twice. Yep. Navy veteran. He seriously put a lot of people in a tailspin. Oh, very true. Very true. There's so much damage that was done, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's true. We're going to need a bigger boat. Like Pelosi. No, I mean, Pelosi was hiding, and Maxine Waters, they were all hiding that day. And they were having police with weapons drawn. So there wasn't any of that. Yeah, Georgia, I think, is on a lot of people's minds, for sure. Protect the justice system, protect the people. I agree, absolutely. My question is, how many MAGA people will even vote if they think the elections are so fraudulent? Wow, that's a great question, isn't it? That's a great question. Excellent. Yeah, Ted Cruz was hiding. Everybody was hiding. I mean, if you watch some of the video, I do not want to put any of that up. We've listened to phone calls. We've, talk about the speech, but I think the visuals of January 6th, in my opinion, it's honestly just so devastating. It's just something that I struggled to even look at myself. So I've not put that out. Oh, thanks for the bear. But it is available. It is. You can go and take a look at it and see what happened there. It's wrong with our corrupt government and the failed justice system. I don't know how they failed. I mean, what do you mean? We got 1.6 million people in federal prison. Are you wanting them to be out? Is that it? Do you think those are wrongful convictions? It's horrifying. I watched it. It was crying. Yeah, me too. I mean, it takes a lot for me to cry. I'll be honest with you. I lost that ability years ago, but it was really devastating. It was absolutely devastating. The question. Yes, I'm here for the question. I'll try to. Yeah, I agree. It's just too much, Sheila. It's too much for me. I don't, I think we can talk about the legal issues, but it's very difficult. I think it really needs to be an individual choice if you want to watch it or not. So yeah, it felt like the world was ending. It really did. The violence, right. I mean, and the people that were there narrating as they were going through it. Can a Congress remove a prosecutor without misconduct? No, you've got to have some kind of misconduct. Even the Georgia statute where they're saying, hey, we want to pull prosecutors, you still have to show misconduct. You have to have some of that in there. Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. It kind of is. It felt like he was trying to steal my vote. Yeah, I think a lot of people felt that way. I mean, we've got documents of fake electors, and we've got people coming in saying, we're here to vote when they're not authorized to do so. It's pretty significant. Would you or disagree that from the moment he stated he was running through the 4 years? I'm not sure. I'm going to need the rest of that. Do you know if it's illegal to use donations for campaign or attorney's fees? It seems like it's not. I do not have extensive knowledge of all of the election laws or the PACs, but when it comes to PACs and monies put into a campaign, if this is part of what a candidate needs to do to be effective in his campaign, then they could attach it to the PAC. It seems like he was the one trying to steal the votes. It is, isn't it? Interesting. There's a lot of projection. Can't wait to hear what the theft of voting apparatuses in the indictment was all about. Yeah, and that's really tricky. Are you talking about, was it Coffee County, I think, that was going on, where we had some computer issues? They were hopping into the systems against the rules. They challenged. Yeah, I mean, it is. Felt like it was another country. It did, Deborah. I'm with you on that. I felt the same way. Yeah, the DC laws are, yeah, they're doing a pretty good job. They did a trial run in Florida removing a prosecutor. Interesting, interesting. Yeah, I think a lot of eyes are on those kinds of statutes. And, I've said before that there's a creator here on TikTok, Hawk. A lot of people know about him. And he did a really, really good video on the Georgia law. Let me just kind of put his name out here. He did a great video explaining it. So I thought he did an excellent job. So if you're interested in that Georgia statute and how it works, I think he did a great job. Oh yeah, Hawk is fantastic. Yeah, he's great. He's great. I try to stay as impartial as possible. I mean, there are moments where, of course, I think everyone's got some things, but I definitely am in the middle of the road. So he's not in the middle of the road, but he has a lot of great facts, information, and legal points. Just an excellent job of that. So highly recommend, particularly with the Georgia law regarding the prosecutor. Yeah, he's not impartial. Nope, he's not. And that's fine. I don't, for me, I just choose to be as impartial as I possibly can. That's just kind of how I prefer to go about it, but don't expect that of anyone else. So no problem. I definitely think he's got some great content up. So highly recommend. Highly, highly recommend. He's fair. Yeah, I think so. Boop, boop. Boop, boop for you, Neil. Nice. Very smart and hilarious. Yes, I agree. Very, very. The threat by... Oh, really? Interesting. Oh, this is just another creator here on TikTok who did a really excellent video on the Georgia statute regarding the removing prosecutors. So anytime anyone asks me questions about that, I always just kind of recommend him. I'm not putting a video together because his is just so good. I don't think I could do a better job than he did. Yeah. Oh, Sassy Princess. That one's all over the place. That particular person is in some... Yeah, if you ever listen to that call that Trump had with the Secretary of State of Georgia, she's in that call. She's making statements during that call. He does about 20 videos a day. They're all fantastic. I think his content has increased recently, and I'm not mad about it. Is it TikTok or YouTube? He's on TikTok, but he also has a YouTube channel as well. The video that I'm referring to, he put up on TikTok. So specifically regarding Georgia. Is being impartial to treason where we want to be? I think that's a valid question. Absolutely valid question. And I think, when we have laws and we're looking to see if someone's violated the law, you have to be impartial. You just have to. Is my view on it. I think everyone gets a chance. Everyone has an opportunity to be found guilty or not guilty. I don't think that decision can be made just looking at what happened in a moment. I think there has to be evidence and there has to be a proper trial put into place, or proper information that would be enough put together to qualify under the 14th Amendment, which under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, and that's up to our constitutional law scholars and the majority when they come together and make that decision. That's another thing. Is a conviction required under the 14th Amendment? No, it's not. But the kind of behaviors, those can be argued out and should go through court. That's just how I view it. I think everybody deserves their day in court. Oh, thank you. Yes. Oh, he's just another creator here on TikTok, and he's got some really good videos, and in particular with regards to the Georgia statute on the prosecutors. So that's why I recommend him. For some very interesting information. Constitutional law is so intense. It is intense. It is. And sometimes, you got to kind of dust a few of the scholars off a little bit and be like, hey, come out of the library. Let's look at the sun for a minute and let's chat about what's going on. Oh, I think Hawk is great too. Absolutely. Jealous of a handwriting. Oh my gosh. Well, it's the pen. It's all about the pen, I think. I found a really good set of pens and it helps. I do try to make it legible at least. Georgia videos easier to find on YouTube. Okay, great to know, Sarah. I'm glad you told me. Okay, and he's okay, Hawkeye Whack-A-Mole. What? Oh my goodness. I'll have to double check his YouTube. Oh, oh, thank you so much, Sheila. Thank you. I'm, trying to just put the information out there, just, and people are going to have to decide for themselves. And I can't tell anyone which way to go on any of these things. I really, truly can't. And I have no expectations either. I believe every person really needs to make those decisions for themselves. But we've got to have the information. If you've got the facts and the evidence, and then you make your decision. That's really what it's about, in my humble opinion. Yeah, the speech could have been done better. I'm not sure who wrote it. I'm wondering. Yeah, and I've done a video on weaponizing the DOJ, and you can take a look at that and kind of an explanation about that. Or not, because I think one of my mods just got you. Oh, my mods. Oh, you all are so great. I'd had a lot of extra mods join tonight, which I'm so thankful for, just to kind of help my own moderators. They've been working so hard recently. So, yeah, I think I'm going to, for me, I always go for sweets, so I'm probably going to need to eat, at least 2 to 3 pieces of cake in order to equilibrate myself again. I'm all about that. He improvises his speeches. Yeah, I feel that way. I feel like there's some of that going on for sure. We do appreciate you, moderators. We're so thankful. I do try to be as unbiased as I can be. I really do try. There can be moments here and there, especially when it comes to a lot of the Indian rights, specifically indigenous people laws. I struggle with that. And there are some big cases out of SCOTUS. I really struggle to remain unbiased. But when it comes to all of this situation, I think it's just helpful to have information as opposed to telling anyone which way to go. So, you're a little sore about it, sweet peas? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, good. Okay. Excellent. Thanks for letting us know, Ronald. Very good. I find these cases fascinating. I do too. I think, again, academically, looking at it from a legal perspective, it's just a fascinating time to be in the legal field for sure. Boop boop sounds delicious. Boop, boop. I think the boop boop's going to stay with us. We got to keep her. Oh, the boop boop will last forever in infinity. Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for coming by, everyone. Yes, well, freedom of speech only applies to the government. Here, we just need to make sure that my poor moderators don't have nightmares. So we kind of have to be careful. But if you're muted and you're able to come back, you should be good to go. Forever we boop boop. Forever we boop boops. Oh my gosh. Seriously, that's going to be, I don't know what happened. We need TikTok to support custom emojis just for boop boop. I would agree. I'm for that. I'm definitely for that. Where do I sign? What petition can I sign for that? Enjoyed it tonight. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. I'm so glad. I'm glad you came by now. That was great to see you. We all boop. Yes, we're boopers here. Just like Confefe. It's always going to be my vocab. Yes, absolutely. Definitely prefer listening to you. Yes, I think if you're looking at the language, it definitely helps to kind of pick out which pieces, like, wait, I'm not really sure if that language falls under the category. So, or the boop boop hat. Yeah, I got to get the hat going. Absolutely. Home of the boop boop. I do a little bit of everything. I spend a lot of time doing criminal work. I've done, civil work. I've done labor law, all different kinds of areas of law. So what will I go over next? I'm not really sure at this point. I've kind of just dig in and look through the research and see, what's the most interesting thing to try to help with these issues that people keep talking about. So tonight I really wanted to hit that First Amendment issue that's just been going around a lot and really dig into the speech, but we'll kind of see how it goes. But, yeah, Meadows hearings coming up. That's going to be huge. And if it's televised, I may, try to see what I can do to either get a recording of it or do something with that. But I think it'll be really, really interesting to go through the evidence in that hearing. Absolutely interesting. Oh, is it? I've got to change. Do I need to move the fabric? Yeah, the fabric came on later. I had just a wooden background before. But you know, you're not the only person that said that. So let me kind of add that to my list to get something more neutral. I tried to get something, I mean, it's just a solid color, but I think I'm wondering if the texture of the material is making it a little weird. But yeah, I'll take a look and see what I can do about that. I had to kind of boop that fabric. Oh, all right, all right, all right. I got it, I got it. Flat color with no texture. Yeah, I thought it was a flat. I thought it was, but then I'm like, wait a minute, I think there's some texture. It's hard to tell because the way I see it on video is different, I think, than everybody else sees it. So it looks solid on camera. Okay, okay. All right, all right. I got you. I got you. I'm thankful. I'm thankful. Yeah, it's just a really, really dark, dark blue. And, you know, I don't know, it's a tight weave. Yeah, I'll have to, velvet. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no, I'm so glad you told me. That's a great suggestion. I'm always open to suggestions. But yeah, maybe I'll try a couple different things and we'll kind of vote on it over the next few lives and see what we think. I've got a few other things I can use, but you know, I just had my wooden desk out here before, which I can show you, but I had some technical difficulties that kind of came up, but I can show you what's underneath it. I even have, you know, my old tape. So I but I had some issues. So I had to be kind of careful. I had a few little problems. So I'll have to see what I can do. I'm so glad you told me about it though. Can you explain a little about the lawyer who's bringing the suit of the 14th Amendment and where it goes next? You know, Alan, that's a great question. I've looked at it. I haven't spent a lot of time on it. It's I think it's only like 7 or 8 pages, the petition. You know, in my humble opinion, it's a bit weak. So, I think and when he was interviewed, he said he just wanted to kind of be the first one. He's like, somebody's got to go first, so I'll do it. So I'm not sure at this point. I may make a video on it though, to kind of go through it. Yeah. In case the equipment falls. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. The more texture across the screen. Right. I got you. I'm so glad. I'm glad you all told me this. This was great information. Yeah, I hope not, Cassie. No, we don't want to do that. Could you go over some of the other people charged with the RICO case? I can. I'll probably not go through that tonight. I think I'll probably need to wrap up here a little bit because I've just been on for so long tonight. But I definitely will go through that again. I need to take everyone kind of through that indictment again and explain that. Where's the equipment in relation to you? I don't know. Like, it's here and I'm back over in this area. It's Saturday night. Let's get wild. I don't know about that. This is about as wild as I get, sitting here going through the speech. Just pretty wild in my humble opinion. It was a lot in my humble opinion. Now I can kind of help the situation out a little bit here, right out the chute, so that you all don't have to go completely crazy with it. There we go. How's that? Here we go. That helps a little bit. Before you go, can you tell me the nail color? Oh, let me see. This is Sally Hansen, and it's diamond. It's a diamond white color for tonight. So this is just kind of my, you know, if I'm really busy and I don't have a lot of time, I just do this. But I didn't have too much time tonight before I came on. I'll have to get some sparkles going next time. But yeah, and my little turtle with lapis in it. So, oh, that's all right. Don't worry about it. No, I'll have it up on my Tube of You channel in the future. I should be able to get it posted within about 24 hours or so. Oh, the corn. Yay for corn. We love corn here. But I'll have that posted up for everyone so you can kind of go through it again. It's quite the show. We have some very interesting learning points with this speech for sure. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Will you go through the John Eastman disbarment case? Yes, that's on my list actually. There were a few new developments that just happened over the last couple of days, and so that will be my on my list. Meadows is the big one because of his hearing. And so I spent, quite a bit of time on the last live going through the Meadows situation. But yeah, Eastman's got some serious things to take care of for sure. Oh, thank you so much. That's my goal, S, is to be that. That's my favorite. Thank you very much. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, everyone. You're absolutely welcome. Thanks for coming. Yeah, no, it's okay. I've got it up on my Tube of You channel, so you can take a look at that. I think that one is posted now. So, boops. Seriously, I'm never going to live the boop down, am I? I'm never going to live that down. Let me see if I can find it again. Oh, the hands are out. Oh, I love it. I love it. All right, I got to remember which page it's on. I think I made a big sign since that's now, I guess, our temporary. Oh, here it is, the boop boop. Boop boops. Oh my gosh, I had no idea that that would be occurring tonight. The boops from the boop boop. Oh, yes, yes. It was highlight the boop highlights for tonight. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I do try to give some good information. Yes, yes. Have a great night. And thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Highlight the boop. I need to. Okay, here we go. Gotta highlight the boop boop so we don't lose it. Oh my gosh. It's just, you should get a P.O. box. We can send you different. Oh, well, that's sweet. What a sweet thing. Maybe I will look into that. Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, I do try to, the pink. Yes. Oh, yes. Well, of course, I think pink is the most appropriate in this situation. Are the boops illegal? No, I don't think so. But should they be? Perhaps they should be. The boops are inflammatory. Oh, I know. It's so, you can't stop. You just can't. It's hilarious. You gotta have, yeah, exactly. You gotta have the moment, the glimmers of, humor wherever you possibly can, for sure. Absolutely. I think it's very important. Oh, yes, incitement to boop. Yes, I think so. 22 boops. Oh, goodness. Oh, we'll have to send that one over to Hawk. Oh, my goodness. He did. He said boop, boop right here. That's why, we can't get rid of it. It's just part of our culture now. It's part of our lives. I'm not sure how we lived before we knew of the boop boop. Little boop. Oh my goodness. Oh, yes. It's something else. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, it's right there. So, yes, I'm not, two Oh my gosh, my stomach hurts now. There was pre-boop and post-boop. There really was. There was a lot of that. There was booping going around all over the place. Shift the camera to the right a little. Sure, the camera or the paper? We all can shift the paper to the left. Why don't we do that? Yeah, I would vote for boop in 2024. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to have to take some time and really look through the rationale here. I know you can't make it up. The whole speech was just, had all kinds of, bits and bobs in it that were little gems. But yeah, and we need it. We need those moments of brevity. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. Absolutely. The Boop Express. Oh my goodness. Oh, strong. Yes, I think it should. We should totally. Oh, bippity boppity. I was thinking about that. I was just thinking about that. Yeah, there is that. The pokey will be, yeah. That will be. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, my moderators, we love them. We absolutely 613. Yes. No, there's not been any drinking. I think we were just getting ready here. I'm actually getting about ready to, I'm going to need to sign off, everyone. But, oh my gosh, as always, it's been 215 pounds. Oh, as always, it's been absolutely a fantastic evening. Thank you, everybody, for joining me tonight and going through this speech. Um, and we need merch. We do. Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Yes, and I wish all of you a wonderful night as well. I will make sure to have a nice, clean top here when I come back in. But we'll see if we've got, once I get some more good information, I'll hop back on and do another live. But definitely on Monday, I'll be going through Meadows and Thursday as well. So I will be back again. Thank you, everyone, again for joining me. It's just been a blast. Hopefully, the information has been helpful. Yes, thank you, Sheila. Oh my gosh. Until we boop again, absolutely. I don't know. Oh my gosh. Oh, fabulous, fabulous night, everybody. So take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. And I will see you all very, very soon. Yes, thank you for all coming, all of you for coming. Have a great night. I have not even hit the wine yet, so I'm just ready for cake. But have a great night, everyone. Take care.